Good morning, Breakfast Clubbers! I've been wanting to sing for a long time. What's the best one here? You know what? God bless America since I traveled across America. America. Them caters, man. Let's do that. God bless America, land that I love. Stand behind her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home. Well, maybe it's over the house.
God bless.
I didn't hear it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we
All good. All right. I went across America again and again and again. This is what happened. June 4th, 5th, around in there, Donna and I, and the Gannons, Gary and Berta, got their big ass extendable, oh my God, we can't stop and smell the roses RV. Okay. And they went up, and Donna drove most of the way, and I drive, I know you're weaving off the road a little bit there, Donna. Okay, I'll drive for a little bit, and you rest. Hey, you got a cat nap, 20 minutes, get back over here and drive. So, anyway, she drove most of the time. She doesn't like me driving, because when you're out in the West, in the lone prairie, those lines in the road are suggestions. It's like you don't have to be there. I mean, it's a center line. I'm like, how come I can't be on the center of the center line? There's nobody around anyway. It freaks Donna out. She can't take it. And then, but Gary, he drove that big ass RV for 7,600 miles himself. I'm like, you the man. And Berta, you lucky. So I drove it a little while. We were in New Hampshire. I go, yeah, you can rest. Why don't you're tired. I'll drive it for a little while. I expected him to go in the back and just lay down. Oh, no, hell no. He's up here. I'm like, okay, man, I was trying to help you relax. Just get over here and drive. So anyway, I only broke it a little bit. So we have an adventure to tell. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and try and go as fast as I can and give you a play-by-play. We went from Phoenix, Arizona up to Kalispell, Montana to meet with Chuck Baldwin and his congregation up there. Then we went across the top of the United States and found our way to Porcupine Festival up near the Canadian border at the top of New Hampshire. Then we were a week there. Some people went. Let's see, Shelton was there. Chris and his family was there. The guy in the black shirt right there. Berta and Gary came and rock and rolled. And then, who else was from? Now, Jeff had gone last year, and entertained us with his Segway ride. Then we had, see, who else? Oh, yeah, Alma went. I don't know if you know Alma Summer, an actress. She's, you go to the parties, you know her. She went. Drew Phillips from Tucson went. Ross Edwards, Don't Tread on Me, and the Money Lift and all that, he went. Nick Barnett has moved to not too far from Chicago, but got a job with Cisco Uber computer stuff. And he took, part of his hiring, he goes, hey man, I want this job, but there's like a week that I got business. I can't be available to those Porcfest. I'm going to be getting happy. So it was, then there was a lot of other people that had come from around the country that, listen to the show or they, know about it through whatever that we know. And all of a sudden people just started showing up. Well, we'll talk about that, what happened there and so on. Then we left there and went, meandered our way down to, met with Donna's family for a little bit and so on, and went and saw my family, and went through Texas to Austin to meet with some activists there that were up at Porcfest too, and see what's going on there. Also, if you had to put, where the Liberty Movement, as known by, the Lovolution and that crowd, where a lot of stuff is happening, definitely Phoenix, New Hampshire, Austin, Texas. Now there's other places around. Philadelphia's got a lot of stuff going on. So there are places around the country that if you know, kind of the headlines you're seeing on the internet about different things, it really comes down to like a dozen or two people that are at least entwined with it, working with it, know about it. Through those roots of the grapevine, you got a pretty good beat on what's going on. And then, of course, there's all the people that support what they're doing and, you know, participate. There is an awakening that's coming on, and I want to kind of walk. I already kind of had a bias anyway. You know, I mean, like, I like Arizona. I like to drive. I like to, you know, I'm not going to freeze to death. I like to, you know, I got a lot of solar energy. I like a whole bunch of stuff. Let me tell you what, if I got a scale, you know, grandkids, okay? I just, you know, they got to weigh it with a whole bunch of other stuff here, like they're, you know, handing out gold at the border or something. I mean, you know, there's got to be something that's going to be bringing up, you know, balance out this grandkid thing. So I'm going, you know, we want to be with our families and grandkids. And so I'm going around the country trying to justify, go ahead and doing routes here, or do we go out of country? Well, anywhere you would think that would be better outside the country, just read the headlines the next week. I mean, it's just, you know, this is global. This is worldwide. Every culture, every denomination, and every, you know, currency, and every. Government doesn't work, and I want my money back. Okay? So there's a thing going on that I think has been manifested by a lot of the activists and people that I know, and I give you kind of my perspective on what's happening in the liberty movement, in the United States in general, the presidential campaign, all this. I'm just going to tell you my experiences through where we started and where we got to today and what I gleaned from that. Okay? Our goal for months, about a year, I mean, was this summer we were going to go to Porcfest. This is my third year, and I always encourage people to go that are more anarchist, libertarian, in persuasion because of one thing. I'll give you an example. Bill Buford writes for the E-Zine a lot. He's a Green Beret during Kosovo. He lives in Sierra Vista. He still does something with Fort Huachuca, kind of DOD. He's involved with the band somehow. He does Appleseed training for riflemen. You know, it's kind of everybody learn how to use a rifle. He goes, in the future, every American knows how to use a rifle. It's better than not. Okay, that's just his mindset. So I'm going, okay, can't argue with that. So he's of the mind that, you know, throughout his experiences around the world, he is of the opinion that freedom is topography. I know, I thought the same thing. This is his argument. He's saying the people that are the most free and the most left alone live in certain kind of terrain. It's men with rifles live in mountainous terrain, and guess what? Nobody bothers them.
That's right.
I give you Afghanistan. So his mindset, he's going, look, before you even plan on whatever is in the future you're doing, if you don't have the right topography, the tanks are coming, the man's coming, the whatever's coming. And I'm saying the satellite death beam, you know, the helicopter coming too, but you know, they're the last ones, because you can't occupy anything unless you got boots on the ground. Hi, good morning. You want to get some breakfast, go ahead, or you can just have a seat. So his mindset is that it's all about terrain. But he's got a military mindset. To him, everything is eventually going to come down to a battle. This was my premise going into this. Yes, I agree. Yes, there's going to be problems. Yes, people are going to be without. Yes, there's every evidence that, you know, it's not going to, you know, it's not going to go well. The government's a dying dinosaur coughing up blood, but sometimes you just got to stay away from the tape. You know what I mean? You know, it's like, wait, you might go up later after I had moved for a year or two and poke it. Okay? Okay. Man, we're done with that one, you know. But until then, you're better off to just let the death throes go, and you don't need to take credit or blame or nothing. Well, that's Bill's mindset, and that was his speech at Porcfest, was more about topography. He's going, look, wherever we go, it should have this terrain aspect to it for you to be able to defend against the galloping hordes of fill in the blank. Okay? All right, that's one perspective. Boston Tea Party was there. I was looking forward to going because I knew I was going to have these private, no electronics, take the battery out of your phone conversations, okay? Boston Tea Party, this last weekend, they had a big festival for Free State West, Free State Wyoming. Because when they chose the Free State of New Hampshire, it was for more political, social, taxing, whatever reasons. Yeah, they're open. So he, at the same time, was pushing for Wyoming to be the Free State. Well, then he wrote the book Molon Labe. Molon Labe was what the Spartans were saying. This is what happened. Xerxes, the Persian king, comes. You ever see 300, the movie or whatever? Anyway, the legends go like this. Xerxes comes in, his big giant army of Dela, whatever, I rule you, and, kiss the ring, and then you can be one of my ring kissers. And the Spartans were like, oh, hell no. So they knew that there was a pass that went through the mountains that had a narrowing to where, yeah, they may have, years worth of dead bodies they got to pile up, but at least they can get to them because it won't get surrounded and they can just, fight on a small front. So 300 Spartans get up there and they're just whipping ass. They're just making walls out of dead bodies from these guys. I mean, they're just having all kinds of, none shall pass. Well, they go and say, we're going to this and kill you and all that kind of stuff. Molon Labe, which I think translated in, come and take it if you can, the sword. Come and take it if you can. All right, here. Well, that gave enough time for defenses of Greece, and the legend goes on. But that book was the title of the book that Boston had written with the concept that Wyoming would be the Molon Labe place. Bring it on. Gun culture, more freedom-oriented, it's out in the middle of the nothing. You don't like wind, you're a windmill. So that was his mindset. It didn't take off as much as he thought because his whole concept was a political invasion. It was people come, it's very sparsely populated, you can start taking over political seats of power, you can have just same thing they were thinking about the Free State Project in New Hampshire. But in New Hampshire, the mindset was different. Now, they were part of the criteria is they want to have an international border, Canada, and access to the ocean, which New Hampshire has. They don't use it, but they have it. Wyoming's landlocked, okay? It's in the middle, it doesn't have an ocean, doesn't have an international border, but it does have a lot of nothing, okay? So he was like, you're better off here for fill-in-the-blank reasons. Montana is kind of going that way too. The people are shifting that way. But the people are not in charge of the government. And the governments at every level just play lip service to whatever the mood is of the citizenry there. It's like decriminalization of marijuana or medical marijuana. Sweeping the country, and the people are 70-something%, voting for this, and 80-something% of can we be done with this? And it doesn't matter because it serves the interest of the man to keep marijuana a Schedule I drug. Now, anyone that has any experience with imbibing, I've never inhaled myself, as far as you know. The thing is it's a Schedule I. Cocaine is Schedule II. They're saying that marijuana is more dangerous than cocaine and heroin and LSD. Okay? No, I think LSD is Schedule I too. But amphetamines. You get meth and all this stuff, and crack cocaine, heroin, morphine, or no, I think morphine. Heroin might be a Schedule I. Morphine, all this stuff. They're saying that's less dangerous than marijuana. Why? There's a reason. Pharmaceutical companies go out of business. That's why I'm so in Budweiser. But people are starting to understand that the government's not representing their interests or desires. No more so than certainly after the 08 campaign with Dr. Paul and the 12 campaign where people learned what to pay attention to and they got involved in the process and saw what happened. How many of you have been to Republican meetings and doing the conventions and all that kind of stuff? Okay, there are quite a few. And you're starting to get the idea that, this is, this is not working. Well, this has happened around the country. When we left, I already knew that okay, we'll go back. In 08, the biggest criticism of us starting the Levolution was, Ernie, you're going to convince people that these young people that somehow voting is going to make them free. You're going to give them the delusion that they're going to be able to, take back government and do fill in the blank. And I go, no, that's not what's going to happen, I guarantee it. They're going to learn the same thing I did as a young man, that politics is just a fraud. It's a big game, it's all BS, it's already predetermined, it's already been decided, and this is just window dressing, putting on kind of, distraction while they do whatever they're going to do anyway. And I go, they're going to learn that. They learned it in 08. But they go, well, it's just because we're not in charge. We're not in the seats. In fact, they would even be told that. Well, look, if you would run for office, if you would get inside, if you would this, then you would be able to, tell people what to do instead of us telling you what to do. Yay, that's a goal, So the libertarian mindset is, I don't want to be a slave, nor a master slave. The idea that the hobbits just want to chuck the ring of power in the fires of Mordor doesn't set with these people. They do not understand that. I don't want to rule you, I just want to be ruled. Well, to not be ruled, you got to rule. Since when? Says who? It doesn't work anyway. So what happens is now the people have come into the Republican Party, got involved, and did it the way Dr. Paul advised. You join C4L, you go to all the meetings, you go through the process, and I knew it was going to happen. How many of you that did it, I said, look, I already know where this goes. Because I've been through it. I already know the system is there to protect the system, not to represent you or protect you. It's just, you just give credence to it. There is not, on July 13th, this next Friday, we're having a party at my home. We're going to announce who the Libertarian candidate is going to be for U.S. Senate against Flake. This is what happened. There was people, they were getting signatures, they didn't get enough signatures, nobody cared, we're all libertarians, okay? So nobody qualified, just one woman turned in the maximum number, 2,000 and something signatures to be on the ballot for libertarian. But she's a Democrat that didn't get enough signatures, changed the word Democrat to libertarian on top of her petitions, turned it in. So that lasted for about a week, So everybody's all worried and warning the state chair, and I got to meet with her and find out and see if we can bring her around. And she was a Democrat. I go, don't, whatever, So anyway, they find out that she's supposed to go to jail. I hope. But anyway, so they just, who cares? So then they're on my ass. This is how you get on the ballot. We've talked about this before. You can go petition by the deadline for the primary, and you get on the primary and you go on the ballot. Hey, there's Al. I was working for you, boy. How you doing, man? So then you go and, yeah, you running this time?
Well, maybe it's a write-in.
Yeah.
Now that I've blown your second way of doing it.
The only way to run.
Okay, so let me give you an example. Powell running against Trent Franks all the time going, whatever, we have fun with that. So he runs against Trent Franks. He goes and gets, for a congressional race, you need 30, 40 signatures or something. Boom, you're on the ballot. Who wins in the primary? You go on the general election. Because it's a percentage of voter registration, and the Republicans and Democrats want to keep it to where, riffraff doesn't do it, but enough that they can do it. It's 4,000 to 8,000 signatures or something for them to get on. Well, the only way they can do that to keep it constitutional is that when you have ballot status, as the Libertarian Party does, it's a percentage of the voter registration, okay, or how many voted in the last, whatever. So for us, because we're only 20,000 registered voters, and you got a million or whatever the other guys, what takes them, 5,000 plus signatures takes us 100. And they still didn't get anybody to run for U.S. Senate. So they're on my case, and everybody else, we got to get somebody. So nobody, Barry doesn't want to do it, I don't want to do it, nobody wants to do it. So now this woman's off. Now we're going to have top of the ticket. We got Gary Johnson running for president, and you had no U.S. Senate against Patriot Act Flake. They go, what do you think about the Patriot Act? Well, he's coming to more liberty Patriot Act, but he's not as bad as Patriot Act. I need to go any further? I can give you a whole bunch of others. NDAA, war, blah, 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 Patriot Act. I mean, seriously? You go negative, I'd say it's the Patriot Act. I mean, I don't care. So the thing is that I've known Flake since 93, and I'll tell you this. I've known him to be one of the more dangerous guys ever.
Here.
He is going to be way more than you. He's stealth. He doesn't. He sees Ernie at any event, man. He's over here. Hell no, I don't want him because he knows I know. He and Sidney Hay and Doug Weed and all these guys, they were on my ass big time in '93 because I had the biggest, most collected database of the Ross Perot supporters, and they offered me the sun, the wind, the moon, the stars if I give them that database. I mean, it was dinners, lunches, and breakfast, and going, plead, and got it, and promised to meet with, and friends say, and why don't you? And no, they're not getting it. Because, long story. The point is that when Sidney Hay went up to the state convention and missed the Patriot Act and war and conservative and Frank's buddy since forever and co-host and Republican co-host, I got her the job at KFNX when I was over there because I had Mike Newcomb, the left liberal, on the show, and I needed a Republican to make fun of. And I was thinking no one better than Sidney. Okay? I go, Sidney, come on down. You need to meet the guy and get a show. She did. Boom, that day, signed a contract. So I'm like, got, Republicans and Democrats. Now I can be libertarian and everybody can understand the difference. She gets up and does the speech in support of Dr. Paul at the state convention. Unity, unity. Oh yeah, Ron Paul a couple of times. She said Romney and Gingrich and, and Huck, everybody else's name more than they did Ron Paul. I go, what the F is she doing up there? How the hell did that happen? Well, I know how. Doug Weed. Doug Weed was part of the Christian right voting bloc. And this guy is about as, anyway. So you have this voting bloc that they wheel around. Well, he kind of brought those contacts into the Ron Paul campaign, and now it's all about the party and unity and a voting bloc going into the future. Can we bring the Liberty bloc of votes with us? All the criticisms about Jesse Bettman and all about the campaign and what they're doing and what Rand did and everything, all of that is part of this thing that's been going on for decades. And I saw it like this in the early 90s. So I know who these people are, and I have no qualms saying, bad guy, and bad guy. Inside the campaign, bad guys. Okay? Which is why I would never have anything to do with the political system. As much as I had opportunity to go in and be all Republican, Ron Paul, dude, whatever, I'm like, hell no, because I know where this goes. So when they did this, I could see what was coming. I talked to the guys at the convention, Jeff, and, Sean Dow, and all these guys. I go, how the heck did that? He goes, national. It was dope. Okay? They go, yeah, but we got Karen Johnson up there. Senator Karen Johnson was the co-chair for Ron Paul in 2008. So what happened? She's retired now up in Springerville. She gets up and she goes, yeah, I want to be the national chairwoman or national delegate. What is that? You have like two to go to the national platform, whatever it is, and you have a man and a woman. What do they call those? National committee something?
Hookers and jobs?
Yeah, whatever. So she gets up and gives a 4-minute speech, and we got to make sure that no one declared war. Get rid of the Patriot Act. I mean, all this red meat, right? The crowd's going crazy. They freaked out. They didn't know what the hell to do. They're going, man, we're starting to see all this support for Dr. Paul out here, and we warm in Arizona, damn it. Okay? So they didn't know what they were going to do. They could see. So what did they do? They do a sheet of paper. So those of you that weren't there, I did shows on this and everything that builds into where I'm going with this. They had a sheet of paper with all these names on it, and by the names that had Ron Paul supporters, they had little asterisks. Okay? Then they had 19 names up here. These are the guys you're supposed to vote for that are for Romney. Romney's son gets up, he does his speech, everybody's like, oh yeah, whatever. He goes off and they give a bit, oh yeah, okay, yeah. Oh, and everybody should vote for, that's when the booing started. So everybody said, oh, they booed Romney's son off the stage. How evil is Arizona? No, they didn't. They booed him getting up there telling everybody how to vote with a fraudulent piece of whatever. They don't tell you that. So this is so ingrained in how bad this is. And anybody that was there saw what was going on, you can see this just doesn't work. They get up there, Karen Johnson gets up, gives her speech, yay team. It's a 3-way race. She comes in first. They got to have a run-up. Oh, I'm sorry, we ran out of time. Lights went off. We can't count it. We'll do it later. We'll do it by mail. We'll do something, anything, but not her, okay? Jack Harper, senator, goes up to Karen, to interview Karen on the radio. Said, Jack Harper, another senator, comes up to Karen. We can get this taken care of right now. You just come when we go talk to you. Karen, what are you talking about? No, we'll get you. Come on with me. Come on. She goes, I'm not going to, what are you talking about? Jack, I'll backhand you. So he goes, look, they're afraid that if you get this position, you'll be talking about 9/11 and stuff. Okay? You'll be conspiratorial. You won't take orders. You won't follow the line. You'll like represent what the people out there want. We won't do that. Okay? She goes, go away. That's when they decide, you know what? We're not going to give it to her. We'll do something, but she ain't doing it. And I don't think they still don't know who won or who did it or something. I mean, it's a game. It's a game. When they were doing one of the districts up in the Apache Navajo or something, the congressional whatever district they had up there, they go in, this one woman goes, how many people voted for this woman? You know, like 16 people raised their hand. How many people voted for me? Like 50-something people raised their hand. And they had an opposite or something. They're going, oh, a little voting, little machine thing going on, right? Well, they go, oh yeah, we didn't, oh, heavens and purgatory, we're so sorry. Well, how that, because we put the asterisk next to the name, it kind of messed it up or something. So they re-voted some, they go back and forth, it's a game! They already got it decided. You're going to Tampa, they have a thing called Paul Festival that goes on the weekend before. We did dime cards for them, we're ready to do all that, and I just can't get motivated to help. They want me to go. I go on a conference call with them months ago, and I said, the only reason that we would even go, I can get these guys to go, I'll go to Porcfest, talk to people, the only reason that we'll go is if we can have big giant anarchist wing out there with the crime scene tape roped off from all the delegates, not to have to, be exposed to all of us naked zombie dancing over there, okay? And we'll have some fun rock and roll. Then the Rand Paul Romney endorsement thing happened. And all of a sudden, they were supportive of that. But I tell you what happened. All of a sudden, the organizers that did the Revolution March in July of '08, and I was one of the MCs there and did spiel there, they all of a sudden said, Ernie, we want you to come. We're going to start focusing the vendors on preparedness. Won't be political. We want all the evolution that goes there to know, hey, where you get your power, how you grow your food, where you get your heirloom seeds. They want to go, we know what's coming. I'm a little more interested now. Okay? Maybe we can work something out. So we're working on that now. Can you close that door, please? So what we're doing is, with all this in mind, we're kind of the mindset that there's something major, something bigger going on than just this election cycle. Because they're working so hard to stop you getting your own representation of what you want. They did everything they could to say that Dr. Paul can't win. He was winning. He is winning. That's what they're freaking out about. That's why they've already started Romney's campaign. That's why they're doing everything. I mean, I look at this and I get so upset because of the campaign itself. It's kind of like, well, we're not going to. Shut up. This is what happened. We leave Arizona. We have these magnetic signs that are about, like this big, and go on the side of the car that says, Ron Paul 2012. Okay? So we're thinking, I go, yeah, we're driving across country, we'll put Ron Paul 2012 on. I mean, I don't vote, I don't care, but, and I go put it on, Ron Paul thing. 2 thumbs up, family, good fun. So I put it on there, and I'm going, well, will this get me stopped, or get me out of a stop? You never know, Well, if you do get stopped and you got your video recording quick live to the internet, channel that we got, you go, it's because of the sign, it's because, so I'm with it either way, so I might put them on, right? We're going up. The trailer, I didn't have time to, do all the maintenance on and fill bearings and this and that and everything. I'm being a slacker. I barely got everything done to go. Did the dome we'll talk about and everything. We get the thing packed. We get the thing straight out. I hauled 7,600 miles, by the way. Montero beer. Of course, now it gets 10 miles a gallon, and they'll like crap on a big thing on the top and a parachute and wings. So it usually gets 23. So I go like this, and I said, all right, we're taking this thing up. We're going to Montana to visit with Chuck Baldwin, and we're going over. As we go up, the trailer bearings started going out. Damn. I'm in Idaho Falls, Idaho, entertainment capital of the world. Okay. So I'm there, and I'm like, we gotta, it's still, the inside bearing was out, it was still going, you could pull it a little ways, but I gotta put it somewhere, and then we gotta go get the parts. So where's a safe place to put it? And it's kind of a rundown little town, wide spot in the road north of Idaho Falls, and I'm going, there's too many 14-year-olds walking around, the trailer ain't gonna be there when I get back, or one of the stuff's gonna be rifled through or something. So I said, oh, there's a sheriff's department there. I go in, talk to the dispatcher there, and I said, hey, do you mind, we've got a bearing going out, we just got to go get, we'll park it out. He said, oh, not a problem. We're out in the parking lot, we have surveillance and lights, and we'll just keep an eye on it. I go, right on, small town fun. All right, go. We left it, we go to O'Reilly's, and in Idaho Falls, about, 40 miles away. We get there, we get all the stuff and everything, go back, and then a deputy comes up, can I help you? Yeah, we're just okay. So he stands there for an hour with a flashlight. So we got a picture of this cop standing there with a flashlight while I'm working on this thing. Got to file it and everything. I'm going to be a while. Oh, that's okay, bro. Because I'm the entertainment capital of the world now. You ain't got nothing else to do. So he graduated from Brigham Young. I get his story. He's 28, I think. He graduates from Brigham Young University. He got a job for the government, so he's happy. You know, I mean, you know, but he's kind of, you know, it's a Ron Paul thing. You're giving him dime cards and stuff and talking the spiel, and he's getting indoctrinated. All right, it's all good. So we're sitting there. We get that. Well, they gave us the wrong hub. Had the right bearings. I mean, I took the actual thing with me. I go like that. They give it to me, and I didn't check the diameter, but it had the right bearing numbers on it. So anyway, with the bearings, we were able to put the two together, and I didn't have the right inside seal. Anyway, it worked enough that I could get it back to Idaho Falls that night. So the officer's like, cool, we thank the lady, you know, we got it, we're done. We go to Idaho Falls, and we got to sleep for like 3-4 hours in the parking lot of O'Reilly's, waiting for them to open and to do the radio show every day for 3 hours from 9 to noon Eastern, okay? Units, a gazillion-dollar thing that I got that remotely, you know, goes into the network out of New Hampshire. So we get a signal, I go, boom, I'm doing the show live. We're in the parking lot of O'Reilly's here in Idaho Falls, Idaho. That's right. And I want to get this wheel bearing changed before the end of the show. So help me. 3 hours. We're going to do it during the break. We're going to do it. I'm going to be with greasy fingers on here. Right? So Donna's getting, they had to go to an actual trailer place, actual place in town to get the right back, and we're getting it going. We're getting it. Now it's time. We got to grease the bearings. I'm getting ready to do it. This guy shows up. You know, an old gentleman comes up and he says, hey man, you need some help with that? Well, that's a nice place here we live here. You know, I said, it's a nice town. You're just helping people. Okay, how you doing? He goes, no, I heard on the radio that you were here. I called all 3 O'Reillys to find out which one you were at. I came here to help you do your part. Idaho Falls. The guy listens to the show on a satellite dish that he has. He makes copies of the cassette and passes them out to his neighbors. So he's like, I'm popular in Idaho Falls, Idaho. So he's like, you know, I want to make sure that, you know, I get to have breakfast with you. So we took him to breakfast and everything. He gave me all kinds of inside scoop on their perspective. You know, Idaho, a lot of Mormon. You know, he was Mormon, Mitt Romney Mormon, Ron Paul listens to the show. You know, it's kind of, you know, so we got a nice perspective there. He's big into solar energy, and he listens to, sometimes I do shows on, you know, doing your own energy and solar panels and batteries and all that kind of stuff. He's all over it. That's what he does. And he's retired, he's disabled. He was worked for a big, a Bechtel or something, you know, some big construction company doing big, whatever the heck it was. And there was a big windstorm, and the roof went up on some overhanging garage he was at, and then came down and crushed him in his truck. So he had a lot of back problems and everything, so he's on disability. So what does he do? You know, kind of chills out, he's retired, listens to the radio, energy. I like this guy. So we had a good time, we put his picture in the paper. I had him on the show, and I'm going, come on, tell people you're real, man, nobody's going to believe this, you know. So anyway, so we had a nice conversation and so on the air, and that worked out well. So now we're back on the road again. Well, before that, we were in Salt Lake. We stopped a little bit, and then we go up there. Now we're going to Kalispell, Montana. Now, Verda and Gary had left like days before, a week before, and they were up there chilling, kind of made their way up there. The week before, they had gone to Chuck Baldwin's sermon the Sunday before. So then that next Sunday, we get there like June 8th or something like that. So we get there, and we're like, you know, let's go in. It's at a Hilton or something like that. They have a ballroom that's done. They just do services from the front, kind of like this, and they have, I don't know, 150, 200, depending, you know, whatever. So they do that. He moved his congregation from Florida, or certainly his family, to the Flathead Valley, and a big giant lake that's up there, and this valley is beautiful, in Montana for the end times. We need to find some place that's, you know, freedom-loving, gun-friendly, we get it, isolated from, none shall pass, topography we win thing, okay? He goes to Montana. Now, he'd known the people there because he had run for president as the Constitution Party presidential candidate in 2008 and was endorsed by who? Ron Paul. Ron Paul endorsed, so they know Ron Paul endorsed a third party, anybody else, you know, kiss it. Now I see McCain, Baldwin, let me think for a second, okay? So this was their mindset. Hey, Renee. So this was their mindset. They're worried Ron Paul will endorse somebody. Well, he did. Well, now they're worried what he's going to do now. We'll see. So we go to the meeting. He gives this sermon. Now, a week before, we had purchased on CD because Gary Verda said how great it was. And so we're going, all right, meet them, take some pictures, hey, how you doing? Talk to some of the people in the congregation. Get their mindset, what's going on. Then that Monday, I interviewed their relocation guy for an hour. That, come on in, this is what we're doing. Then I interviewed Chuck Baldwin for an hour. So the first, I know all his congregation's listening, okay? Oh, that guy I talked to, he said, what's up in Phoenix? He's on the radio the next hour, we're going to listen to this show. So, Chuck, when you guys finally get the ring of power up there, you're in charge, do the gay Muslim, many wives, minaret people living down the street, what kind of law you got for them? Anarchist, gay, drug dealing. What? I mean, where? What's your guys' position? What was congregation think was going to happen? They had not listened to conversations I'd had with Chuck before on the air and everything. Of course, he's like, freedom, everybody free, we don't care, freedom, bring on the atheist, anarchist, whatever, freedom, it's all, everybody doesn't bother anybody, freedom. I know some people in their congregation were like that. I talked to them. So this is going to cause an interesting conversation, I am sure. But he's like that. And the sermon, when I was there, it kind of got on race, about, black people. What about Hispanic? What about... Chuck has done a lot to set the tone for what freedom really is and how you advocate for it and what, God really would have you do and what Christ taught people. So he's doing a good job. I'm comfortable with how he's presenting that. What they did is they had his son is running for Congress or something up there, and it'll be in the general. But they had a race with another guy running against a state legislator there that lost by only like 49 votes out of thousands. And he represented that congregation. So the people all knew the congregation through this one family and this one candidate that ran against one of the powerful people in the state legislature and lost by that much. And of course he could have won for all we know. You never know. So it had a big impact. Everybody knows who they are now. They know what they're about. They know that people start coming to the church is going, but what happens? I don't know. That's why I went. I wanted to keep track of what goes on up there. How can you have a concentration, even in a small area in a nice valley there, that's self-sustaining, can be. I saw so many deer on the road, I was afraid I was going to hit something every other time I turned around. And I don't think they call it hunting there. It's more like harvesting. So it's you got all these deer everywhere. You have livestock. You got buffalo and cattle and big lots of water, a big giant lake up there, and you have farmland. So it is a good place to pick if you want to weather this out. But it has winter, big deep winter. Okay, it was cold when we were there. It was June. It was like in the 40s, 50s or something. Now I'm like, are you kidding me? This is summer? No, summer is not until the end of June. It's summer, okay? I'll tell you when summer is. In Phoenix, it's April, okay? That's what summer is. So I'm going, all right, so this is a nice place. Keep that in mind. Put that on the list. I like this place up here, but it's got winter, all right?
Does it have wood?
So, I have plenty of wood. But they had a lot of regulations. The land was very high. Don was looking at it, was enormously, because it was a popular area for a lot of the same reasons that we would look at it. The land was not cheap. You're getting half the price for the same amount of land here in Arizona or less. I mean, it was enormous. I couldn't believe it. So then you got all kinds of regulations, and they control. And they got the group, and the drain into the lake and everything goes. So you got a lot of concerns there. All right. So then we head across to next place we go is to Custer, South Dakota. Now, this is where Mount Rushmore is and all that kind of stuff. Mount Rushmore, we kind of went through the drive-through, kind of got out, picture, okay, we're done. And then we left. Okay. I went there during a Sturgis thing in 09, I think it was. The Granny Warriors had a big camp out thing, kind of what these festivals and so on, for a week. And it was interesting. We went up there and I got to meet with a lot of the older patriot crowd of the movement that was rising up in the 80s and 90s. So in the 80s and 90s, there was a lot of the guys that you start reading about that were dying off. There were, guys, anti-federal, anti-taxing, a lot of the people that were in the movie Freedom to Fascism, Aaron Russo's thing, this crowd that kind of brought up their lying. Well, what if you already knew they were lying? Now what? Oh, but they're really, really lying. okay. I mean, now what? I mean, so that generation kind of was on their last presentation at the Sturgis thing. And I kind of represented, kind of the bridge to the younger guys. So we had really good conversations for a week. And of course, Michael Badneric's giving his constitutional classes and that kind of thing. So Michael and I have known each other for a long time. And I'm like, Michael, so freaking what? I'm telling you, it's just so what? They don't care. So this conversation's in my head all through this of different people and the younger guys and what their mindset is. When I get to South Dakota, you have great white men, charge our heroes of carved in granite. Well, what happened then? You got the Native Americans that are there. What's their mindset? Shoot, whoever it is, just shoot them. Oh, it's Renee.
It's not me.
Ah, you're always doing this. Man, it's like a monthly thing with you. So what happens is the Native American chiefs that were there said, we got in our holy land here, just to make fun of us, Custer's last stand kind of deal, just to jerk with us. They got you got Washington, Roosevelt, Jefferson, and Lincoln, and every one of them responsible for some Native American death and massacre and kick our ass. And they got them looking over us now going, nan.
Yeah. Wow.
And they go, really, at the time the World Fair, something was going on in New York, and some guy won a big sculpting thing, and he was a European, Polish or something sculptor. I can't remember his name. What? Yeah, what she said. So, Desson Borglum, something anyway. So this guy with a funny name, he wins a bunch of awards. In a handwritten letter they have in the museum, it's a beautiful visitor center, and big, enormous. I mean, it's like ASU campus kind of thing. And what they do is they have the letter that he hand wrote, the chief, became aware of your award, you're a great, wonderful sculptor. I would like you to come and honor our culture with some big sculpting, whatever. Cool, it's not a good idea, here I come. Goes out, an entire mountain, they are sculpting in the round, okay? It started in the 40s. They dynamited and removed over 8 million tons of rock already. Now what they did is you have the size of the four Mount Rushmore is about this big next to his head. Yeah. This is Mount Rushmore. This is Crazy Horse's head that goes out, but it's just his face is that big. It has his whole head, hair, horses on, hand out like that, opening horse's head in a mountain sculpture. Decades, generations this is going. And the slogan basically is, they go, yeah, well, where are your people now? They go, yeah, you got white man. Where are your people now? Where's your land now, or something like that? Where's your land? He goes, my land lie where my people lie buried. That's where my land is. Okay? So there's a story about Crazy Horse. He doesn't surrender. He gets knifed in the back by a soldier under a truce. All this kind of, so they're, who are we going to put on the mountain? We're going to put Crazy Horse up there, okay? So Crazy Horse and this, and that's what they're building. So you go to Mount Rushmore, go to Crazy Horse. It's like 30 miles away. Go to Crazy Horse, you get a lot of Native American culture there. You have the museums, a lot of the stuff, the story behind this. It's going to be turned into a big center, this mountain and around, and they're blasted. Because you see it, and you go, yeah, they're doing quite a bit. And you don't realize there's a whole other side of this thing. Enormous mountain. So I wanted to go see that because I saw it when I went to Sturgis last time with Jack Blood, another talk show host out of Austin, that he hurt his foot in a wheelchair, so I went around pushing him around everywhere. And we toured that with Penny Langsford Freeman, which was the woman that was the first contact from Ron Paul's congressional office out of Texas. She was the first one that I met at the beginning of the Revolution. She came out to meet with me and so on. So Penny was there, and she was all upset. We'll talk about her in a minute. She was there, so we got to know each other. So from the beginning and early on and during the campaign and all this, I've known a lot of people behind the scenes that knew inside the Republican Party how Ron Paul was perceived and so on. So, you got that going on. I wanted Donna to see this, and I wanted to make it part of this trip as we went by because I thought it was great that Native Americans got this big, giant screw you to the four white men, that say, we rule you, okay? That's kind of cool. And it's privately funded. It's all private. Not a dime comes from taxpayer, and they've offered all kinds of stuff. Oh, well, yeah, we know you would. Go away. Okay? So, well, you'll be forever. Yeah. So we got forever to make it. We're good. You know? They just keep progressing. So we get some goodies from there. Then from there, we go to Des Moines, Iowa. Now, Des Moines, this was the week right before the final Iowa caucus debate, delegate selection, blah, 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 to go to Tampa. Now, remember what happened? The first in the nation, Iowa. What happens? Oh, Romney wins. Big. Oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't Romney. It was, what's his name? Santorum won. Oops. It's not Santorum now. Who got all the delegates? Ron Paul. During this process, there was a guy named Ryan Mott, this young activist that I got to know when I first went like 5 years ago. We spent a lot of time putting up a bunch of signs. He eventually went to with us to New Hampshire to do a bunch of work. In the movie For Liberty, how the Levolution, Lord of the Withered Tree of Liberty, documentary the Ron Paul thing, he's the guy that's passed out stuff during the traffic jam when they had the big wreck on the snow. Him and Travis Travis Sarver, an ASU kid, they went with us up there with Brock and I from Las Vegas, and we kind of, mothered everybody, and had a lot of fun. And they were doing the video of the movie, passing out and talking, going to each door, tick, 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 on the window. Hey, did you hear about Ron Paul over here in the traffic jam? So they were doing that, having a good time. Well, he was a big-time activist in Des Moines, and the reason he went with us, because they kicked him off their meetup list and everything, because he refused to stop putting Ron Paul signs up on chain link. As a party, the Republican Party in Iowa, get your freaking activists in line. You stop them from doing this. They're embarrassed. We don't like it, and gosh darn it, and if you don't, we're going to threat. And then all of a sudden, now these same guys are in charge in the 2012 campaign, and they can't get them enough Ryan. And the reason is because he's so inspirational to so many young people, they can't get anything done without him there. Now, they can spend money and they can do all their little internal crap, but you want people to show up, you want to get the youth involved, you want people putting signs up, you need Ryan. So all of a sudden, Ryan gets a shiny badge about this big. I'm the blah, blah, blah in charge of the blah, blah, blah. Okay? So he and his significant other and her children, they go to all this stuff, they're reporting, I have them on the show, they got the inside scoop on what's going on. Then he gets the orders from on high, from Dwyer, anyway, the head guy for Ron Paul in Iowa. And he says, we need you to wear a white hat, and you stand at the back of the room passing out this piece of paper. White hat paper, okay? Because everybody was instructed that was in support of Dr. Paul, that go to the guys in the white hats, and they will have the slate for you to vote for. So Ryan, now he's endorsing this. They know Ryan. They trust Ryan. Ryan's a good guy. Ryan wearing a hat. Ryan white hat. Ryan wearing hat paper. Get paper, vote, Ryan said. Right? So they go in. Ryan's looking at this paper and he goes, I hate this guy. This guy's a scumbag. This is part of it. What the hell am I doing with this? See my point? So then they start, they're using him to do whatever. So then the list starts to change and evolve, and it gets better and back and forth. So I can see what Ryan's giving me the play-by-play inside the meetings, what's going on, the negotiations between the different campaigns. It's being done at the state level. Because especially Iowa, the reason Iowa is first, the reason Iowa gets $1 gazillion into the party, the reason Iowa has all this media attention, the reason Iowa gets all this money is because Iowa does what the hell it's told. If it stops doing what it's told, they stop going to Iowa. Why would they go to Iowa? Republican Party would go to Iowa because why? They're not doing what they were telling them. We'll go find somebody else to do what we tell them. Nebraska. Where it was 118 degrees a couple weeks ago. You go to Phoenix. Gary Bird is going to look at weather reports. I'm in 108 in Kentucky. I'm like, no crap. I look at Phoenix, like Thursday or Friday, it was 80-something degrees.
Yes.
I'm going, global warming. Shut up. So I go, we're going to go to the Arizona desert where it's cool. So anyway, so you can see inside, these people, certainly Ryan had known from learning before and from my perspective, and I go, look, blah, 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 I know what they're going to do. Well, of course, they didn't fail, they did. So then they get, okay, well, these guys are Ron Paul people. They say, pinky swear. They already got, we're going to vote what, well, it doesn't matter if you already got the people that's going to do what you want them to do anyway. And they'll say they're Ron Paul people vote for them. They got Ron Paul and they go Tampa Ron Paul, but they pull the lever for Romney. So this has been going on across the nation. And after 2012, people more closely that they're watching this, and the more they're involved, and the more they see what happens in Tampa, which Ron Paul has a bigger threat against these guys than people will let on, which is why they're freaking out. But they are going to learn politics is not the answer. They are in droves. The activists, they're represented by a bunch of people at Porcfest and in Austin and across the country, in Iowa, all these people that I know and going through that went through the process, did what they were supposed to do, took their civics lesson from junior high, 7th and 8th grade, how they were supposed to whatever, they get it. That ain't how it really works, okay? So now what? We hit the Davenport, I think it is on the Mississippi there in Iowa, am I right? So we're there, nice place, got the river there, you see the barges going by and everything, kind of cool. We hook up with Gary and Bert again, we get that, have dinner and so on, we're chilling. And so we're having a good time there, we get to relax a little bit, but then what we got to do? We're going east of the Mississippi. We're in, Republic of, it's the Communistville something, right? So I got to take all my guns, dismantle them, put them in lock cases, separate from the ammunition, another lock case, and an inaccessible portion of my vehicle, then that paperweights, okay? So I do all this, machination and everything. I get Gary all nervous. He's like, damn, man, I need to get me a lock case. I got to do shit. He's more or less armed than I am. I want to be small. I don't want to go to jail, So this is the mindset that you have. You're crossing the Mississippi, and all of a sudden you're in another freaking country. So I'm driving. Let me tell you where the worst freaking roads. I don't know where the worst roads for you guys are, but freaking Iowa.
No, Ohio.
No, Ohio, right? Ohio.
Yeah.
Mississippi.
Ohio, I'm like, oh my God, they call these roads? How much are they getting taxed? I look at the diesel comparison, you can see diesel's a lot of times taxed higher, than the other, and it's like a lot higher, and I'm going, oh man, if I were a truck driver, I'd be bitching, Ohio was, you're like leaving the ground and stuff. It was, man. So they better have low taxes here. Not. Seems like where the taxes are the highest, you have the worst roads. Yeah. It's amazing. Arizona wins when it comes to the road thing. So I'm going, okay. So we get across there, we go across, we're in New York. By the time we get to New York, I had a cut on my hand and, and they get infected. And I had a medical bag. I have a red bag and I put all my medical crap in, from shotgun blast to, hangnails, whatever. So I got this in there and I know where, I got it all organized for me. I know where it is. I go in the top and I get the antiseptic and I go in and I go, holy shit, there's a 9mm that I have in there that I keep in the bag. I forgot all about it.
You never know what you're going to have.
I got guns everywhere. So I'm going, oh man. And I got to unpack a whole bunch of stuff to get to the lock case that I had to put it in, but I got 30 miles to the Vermont border. We can make it. Yeah. We can make it. Go, baby, go. We're heading for the Vermont border. All right. So dodge that bullet. All right. So we get it. Now, across the whole way, the entire trip, we had law enforcement interaction. Idaho Falls held the flashlight for me. All right, that's cool. Sheriffs, they were nice. We didn't get stopped or anything the whole time. We go across. The next one that we came across was we stopped to take a Skype thing. We had internet access on the computer and so on in the car. And our daughter was wanting to Skype with us and do it. So we pulled off the side of the highway. We're Skyping. An officer pulls in front, comes back like this. Here's Donna's window, right? And he's coming, he gets out. Hey, we're just stopping to take your Skype. Oh, okay. He gets out and he leaves. He's like, you're going to make me stop. I was going to go to the donut store or something, right? So he was just indignant that we're pulled over and from Arizona and damn it and what I got to deal. So if I find out he didn't have to do anything, all right, cool. At least he stopped. All right. All right, so that's kind of cop out like he leaves. So he left. Then we go to, there was Las Cruces, I'll get to that later. We come up, we're going north to go to the spaceport. I got to tell you about that. So we go to the spaceport, and truth to consequence. Well, there's a border patrol there, border checkpoint, going north. Great. I was wondering when that was going to happen.
Did you take the camera out?
So we got this big trailer and all this kind of stuff. So I pull out my cell phone, and it has an app on there that you can directly record to the internet immediately. And all I do is push that button. Boom. and it goes to the program, and it says record and share, and then all I do is hit that red record. And I go, boom, and. So I'm sitting in the passenger seat like this, got recording. The American citizen, I ain't saying nothing. I'm like, I was born in a hospital in Dade City, Florida. Because a citizen is like a legal question or something. I'm just going, I don't know, what's your definition? I was born in the U.S. You can just take a, they don't want you to say it, I'm American, or something, right? I'm just not doing it anymore. I did video on that and the Yuma thing, and that's just my take. Donna's like, no. So Donna's like, yeah, US, okay, fine. He sees the camera. I'm like this. He's like, yeah, whatever. So that probably, saved me right there. Then, so we go to up the truth or consequences. Then the last time I saw an officer was we were up at Show. We had to go to all the way back up to northern Arizona to look at the festival location that we're going to be doing the first weekend in August. We're doing a big bug out, shakedown, kind of 3-day, camping thing.
Everybody's welcome.
Off the grid and stuff. I went to look at the location, and we found we had to get exact directions. It's kind of near this intersection in the middle of the forest somewhere. And I'm like, right. So we need to go. You go exactly here. You go so many miles here. You make a turn there. You go there. Boom, done. So we get that all done. As we're up there traveling, all of a sudden, in the middle of the freaking nothing, there's like 3 green forest fire trucks. And there's a fire. And they're putting up the fire by the road. And I go, well, that's cool. So we pull up there, and I'm like, what the hell happened here? Somebody leave a campfire or something going on. And there's a little rain and storm in there and everything. And I go, how in the heck did you guys even know to do this? You got satellite something or whatever? Which they probably do, And he goes, oh, it's a good American citizen like you called 911. I go, yeah, where do you get cell coverage? Because So, said, call it. He goes, your taxpayer dollars at work. Yeah. So I'm going, and he was kind of cool. There's, the firemen out there putting it. It was like 3/4 of an acre. They put it out. And they're all good. They got a bunch of guys out there watering and raking and doing and holes and stuff. So I guess it was a lightning strike. So I'm going, okay, cool. And I let them get away with that. If I had to pick last guys on my list is the firemen. They come when you want them. You're glad they're there, and they don't have a gun or a ticket to write you. So I'm like, if that's all government ever did, I'm good with that. But it just gets. So sure enough, no crap. As we're standing there, and they're kind of blocking. We were looking to turn around anyway. That's about where we were going to turn around anyway. So no big deal. You need us to move. I go, no, it's okay. We're just watching. We're going to turn around anyway. There's a forest ranger now that has guns. And their demeanor is totally different now that they gave him guns. Where before, they were like, oh, well, golly, shuck and gee willikers, I'm Smokey the Bear, and kind of be safe, and only you can prevent forest fires or something, right? So now he's got a gun, and he's about the distance to where the double doors are, double that distance. And he makes it up there, and I'm talking to this guy. I just know he's coming. There's John Q. Citizen out here, and he's going to have to, I got to do something. I don't have a fire hose, I don't got a rake, I don't got nothing. But gosh darn it, I'm here for something, okay? And you know what I'm here for? Spit my authority, okay? So I just know he's coming. And right when this guy says, your tax dollars at work, and I go, well, here comes some tax dollars I can, I don't working, like that. And the guy turns and he's like, he's just going to screw up my whole spiel here, He just knew, obviously they didn't like this guy, whoever he was, or the concept of it. He comes up to me, and the first thing he says, hey, well, you can't be here. You got to get back to our drill. I go, seriously? You came all the way over here just to give me crap? You walk all the way over here just to give me crap. The firemen are like, yeah, we're going over here. Yeah, we're just trying to get and then the guy's demeanor changed. He goes, look, I'm sorry. They have what they call widowmakers. It might fall. It might this. The sky might blow up. The guy, whatever. He's going, but I can move the cars and get you through it. No, we're turning around. It's okay. It's cool. So it kind of de-escalated. The guy wasn't, a super dick. Okay. So you go. So I go like this. So I'm like, okay. We'll just go around over here, and we left. So my only interactions with cops, that was really that the border thing I just do without, was some fire guy out in the middle of the freaking nothing that had to go in his authority because he didn't have nothing else to do. I almost made it back, man. I almost made it. Anyway. So we go to get the Porcfest, and one of the things that we wanted to do is two things. The reason I took the trailer and all this big weight and paying $5 billion for gas and no mileage was to take the money lift. Now the money lift is a big candy machine that dispenses dime cards. I mean, a lot of you guys know what that is. They're pre-65 dimes that are 90% silver. They put them in attractive cards that people are just putting money in that thing. Hundreds of dollars. They're just putting in, buying these cards. They're spending them there. I'm redeeming them at the end with the bank, all that kind of stuff. So that went over real well. We had a good time. There was, we had a retail space. We called it the Money Dome. I built a geodesic dome that is it's 16 feet across. So it's about this far across. And it's a big dome that goes about 10 feet high, and round dome. Well, the sides, I sewed it all and everything. I busted my butt on this thing. You roll it up, and you got little 5 tables that go around out to the outside, and it was cool. And it was a landmark. Yeah, they were over by the dome. Just the side of the dome, past the dome, the north of the dome, up the hill from the dome, down from the dome. So we were center of the tent and dome. Okay? So we got, Sheldon's got his 4409 stuff everywhere. Everybody's wearing 4409 stuff all over the thing, or 4409 and 4409. Okay? So we had a lot of things out there. Dog, she knows I'm here. What? No, we're good. I thought something might happen. I'm in the middle of the meeting, baby. All right, wait.
Hi, Darla.
Say hi.
Hi.
All right, I'll see you later, dude. I don't know why she's calling. I mean, she knows I'm here. So what happened was this dome because one, I wanted to do a couple of things. Yeah, it rained twice, so there. So we wanted to do this as a building technique too, because I always wanted to do these geodesic domes because you never have a piece longer than, I don't know, 4 feet or something, or you can go 5 feet, 6 feet, it depends. And let's say the longest piece is 6 feet long like this, you could have a dome that's like 40 feet across. Because you put them all together in these little triangles and so on. So you can put on my trailer right there, I can have a freaking barn on my trailer. Go in, put it together. Then the new materials are coming out. This is what I wanted to make a big emphasis on when I was at Porcfest. Because the problem in the movement is they always want to do what? What is it that we want to do? We want to go, be left alone, sustain ourselves. We have the energy, we have the food, we're kind of raising our kids, nobody's bothering us, we're not, it's all good. But you can't do that if you don't have a structure. Women do not stay with guys that can't keep them dry, warm, cool, fed. They're like all these young activists. Yeah, I'm cool. Look at my pet. They're going, yeah? Got a bed that's warm? Got food? Next. So my thing is, I'm going, look, you need to be able to, whatever's in the future, you need to have these minimum, I get to breathe in and out things, taken care of. So I'm going, all right, these geodesics are cool. There's a lot of different building techniques, and we've been covering a lot of that in the Freedom's Phoenix in our magazine the past year or two anyway. But this is something easy that I could do. And we had started it. We had the first Ron Paul Revolution workshop down on Central. In the last week or so, before we closed that one, I went ahead and made this because I had the space there, kind of did a little test part of it, and I go, okay, I see how this works, cool. And I packed it up. Well, then I needed to expand it, make it bigger, taller, whatever. And we made some more stuff and got it all painted and everything. Then I had to sew the outside because I couldn't get any tent place to do it in time. So I'm learning to sew. I'm doing the SAS remnant, whatever cloth thing, and I'm doing it. And you look at the magazine coming out this weekend, you'll see what it looks like. All right, how many people have seen the Money Dome? Okay. On a 1 to 10, it's how cool? Very, very cool. Okay. That's my point. So what happens is, it's always been how do you cover it? Anybody been up to Sholo, you see that video store, it's these 2 big domes right on the main street of town. They have these 2 big geodesic domes, been there for decades. I went by them yesterday, took some pictures. I'm just going, how's this holding up, man? It's cool. Well, what happens, they always leak, because how do you cover them and stuff? Well, they put this latex, film over it, and that, takes care of it. But it's always been how do you cover it? How do you insulate? How do you whatever? Well, technology has changed. All this nanotube, carbon fiber, carbon paper, graphene, blah, 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 blah. When I was right out of high school, one of the first jobs that I had is I made fiberglass body parts for NASCAR cars. All those cars are just a frame with, fiberglass on them. Well, It was called Fad Fiberglass, I remember that. And what they did is had these molds, and you have a chopping gun, and it feeds a rope of fiberglass like this, and it chops it into sections like this. Any of you ever seen on a boat, you see all those little fibers and it's got the gel coat over it? That's what that is. And it just sprays a 2-part resin out, epoxy resin of some type, out on this rope that's just being fed out there, and then you roll out the air bubbles and it creates a shell. So I'm going, okay, now they got carbon fibers. Why don't we just, you take and you put carbon fiber over it, spray the 2-part resin on, kind of roll it out. You got a light, impermeable, waterproof jacket spaceship. Okay? Very light, very cheap, I'm okay. You build a dome, you put that over, now what? Then you're on homes on Garden Network kind of stuff. What are they always doing? They're spraying that blue insulation stuff. Shh. It expands, you got the inside, now it's insulated. Put a door in it, okay, now I got a door. The window, I'm done. Done. And I built it myself in a day. We put the dome together in 3 hours, by myself. I tested it at my home, and then we had some people helping. It took 4 hours. So we go and we do that. So we put the thing together, put the top on it, and we're done. Done. Spray the outside, insulate it, done. I'm telling people, I'm going, look, this is, you can make these enormous. Bardo Farms. I find out later, Bardo is something to do with, it's nirvana, kind of plane reincarnation between the levels of consciousness, de la of something, whatever. Anyway, so these guys are kind of that way, all right? Libertarians, but they're a 210-acre farm. Now, they have a festival about the same time as Porcfest every year, and they go to it, self-sustaining farm. They had a couple of people, they just sold everything they had, 2 couples, went out in the middle of the nothing, bought 210 acres of forested New Hampshire. Has a little farm on it. They get some pigs, chickens, rabbits, goats. They have solar, inverters. The guy that did the laser show, that laser and everything, he hooked up all the inverter and everything. He's an electrical whiz. He's the guy that set up all their battery pack and so on. So they go in and they have it all set up. So they're self-sustaining farm, 210 acres. Then I'm going, okay, I want to go visit with these guys. We go out and take a bunch of pictures. We'll have it in the magazine. I talk to them. How are you sustaining? One family lives in a nice home that they got, kind of solar passive. They're doing okay. Another family lives in town, works jobs to help subsidize this. I go, well, then you're not self-sustaining if you got to work outside, just subsidize it. Well, we're building, doing, and changing, and we're getting there. We're getting better. All right. So they start having hogs. They're starting to make money with the hogs. This guy worked a year. He was an electronic guy before software or something. He goes off. No, he had some kind of chain stores or something that he wanted to go there. And he's only in his mid-30s. So he goes there, with his wife and so on. And he worked for a year as a local butcher just so he could learn how to butcher. So he did that. Got a pig farm. So he goes through this process. Pigs kind of push out the rocks. They get excavated in a clear area. They got a bull out in the field. They got some acre about a quarter of a mile that way. You walk out there. They got it cleared of the trees and so on. They got another little communal living, people camping, building whatever out there. They can farm the trees, for 30, 40 years going around and sustain that place just for the sale of trees. Well, the government figured that out. They go, oh, no. We get our cut. Every time you cut down an area of trees, now you got to start paying full residence tax, property tax on it. And we get a cut of the trees. And there's a fee for the blah, blah, blah. And, they just make it to where you can't. It's your land. It's your trees. According to government. So then they have the hogs. There's another farm next to them, kind of freedom-oriented guys, but not, part of the Free State thing. And he's, talking to them all the time. Man, don't get involved with the government. Don't. Never good. Don't trust me down front. Get a warrant. Kiss it. No, right? Government comes up to this other farm and talk. Then they said, no, we don't have anything to do with it. They go to this other guy and they go, there's a program by which we check and test the blood of your pigs to make sure it doesn't have fill in the blank, whatever disease or something. And we strongly urge and suggest you participate in blah, blah, blah. And they go, well, I don't have the money. I went, no, it's free. Of course it's free.
Yeah, right.
So they come in and they go, all right. So at first they start, they're paid for by the federal government to take the blood of all these livestock animals. Why? I don't know. They take it and then they throw it away. Because they didn't pay them to test it. They just paid them to take it.
What's the point?
Then what? Exactly. What? There's no point. Government. Who's kidding who here? So anyway, so they go and they take it and they throw it. That goes on for a year or two. Then they get funding. Now we're going to test it. Okay? Oh, test positive. Your pig's got blah, blah, blah something. All right?
Pigs quarantined.
Yep. Pigs are quarantined. Can't do anything. We got to check with the pigs and do and slaughter. Slaughtered pigs. The only way you can really test for this is the thyroid or something, right? Well, pigs just don't voluntarily kind of temporarily get into the thyroid. So they go through and they go, oh, it was a test, a negative, false positive or whatever it was, and we're ever so sorry for having, whatever. So then it cascades into more stuff. Then they find, oh, some of them you do have. Now you got to quarantine. So it just got into this whole thing, and that guy's going, yeah, you were right, man. Do not deal with the government. At the same time, he's got these two different pigs. It was really weird. It was like Dr. Moreau's Island genetic, some kind of thing. I mean, it was the island kind of weird pig looking thing. I mean, it looked like meat, okay? They say, yo, what's up, all right? So it's like meat on fours. Their rear hooves, usually the pigs, they walk on their toes like this. It was flat like that. They bred them that way so that when they were on concrete in these mass-producing, pig farms and so on, so that they were more comfortable on the concrete. But they also changed their structure. It looked like a buff man, like a bulldog. You know how a bulldog are kind of big in the chest? This thing, but imagine it pink and like human skin almost. It looked like a man walking around on his hands and knees. It was freaking weird.
It was a man?
Oh yeah, I got pictures of it. You look at the back of it, you can see it's totally different than a hog that's kind of fat and round here. It's kind of like head shoulder like a bulldog. It's going to kick your ass or something, with his feet flat on the back. I go, what the hell is that? Because we got two of them. They came from the state university to whatever. They want us to watch them for them doing whatever. They got some kind of financial incentive for, I don't know what the hell they do with these pigs. And I'm just going, that's just freaking weird, man. And this is a self-sustainable, freedom-oriented farm out in the middle of the nothing. And this is all the stuff they got to deal with. So I'm going, man, well, what about the property tax? The business, they get you on that, man. We start doing business, and how they subsidize themselves a lot is they get free food from the grocers. The grocer there throws away their food. It's a day old, 2 old, and they get a whole bunch. Heck, they eat a bunch of it. They don't have a grocery bill, and it covers almost all of their feed for their. So I guess you need to have a grocer that has extra food. So they take care. So they're doing okay, but they're still not in the black. Certainly not going to tell anybody. And they go, we can't. If we get in the black and we start making money, they get the enterprise tax on it. I go, what's that? I thought there was no income tax in New Hampshire. And I go, well, how's this tax apply? Well, depending on how much you make and do and whatever, then I go, whoa, that sounds like a corporate income tax to me. Oh, no, it's not. They call it enterprise tax. This is New Hampshire, right? You see my point? So I'm just like, anybody starting to make any kind of commerce or doing well, they just do the same thing all over again. So I'm going, oh, screw this. So there's a bunch of problems. So can I go and just be left alone in the lone prairie of New Hampshire, out in the middle of 200-acre off the beaten path? No, you can't. No, you can't. So that's one thing I need to know. All right, I'm good with that. Crosby is the owner of Porcfest. Crosby has this, he was some, I can't remember, electrical engineer or pilot or something. And he retired, bought this campground, and it's, I don't know, many acres, 20 acres, I had big, okay? It can have 700 and 800 campers there. I mean, at the peak of the event, you could have a couple thousand people there last year. It's probably a little bit smaller this year, but it's over 1,000. So you're having a good time, everybody's, rock and roll and whatnot. Last year, there was like competing taverns. It was like a rave. Everybody's like, dancing all over in the campground. Oh no, go over here. They got free whatever and booze and selling and whatever and going on and trading silver to 7-year-olds for homebrew beer on National Public Radio. I mean, it was a going concern. Oh, the man didn't like that. All right. You got the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. Let me tell you what was going on last year. Alcohol, free flowing. The 7-year-old getting you your draft. Okay. I mean, so this was, they definitely won up on that one. Tobacco, they were making home rolled in 20 packs and glad bags, selling for a couple of bucks. Man, the man wasn't getting his taxes on the tobacco. They didn't like that one either. So firearms, everybody's got their guns, going to different shooting things. We're out there shooting, having a good old time, close by, doing that, got the firearm thing. Explosives, some jerk has got mortar, explosives, firework doing probably the man doing it just so they can check off all 4 boxes, okay? So they're threatening with all kinds. So this year it was kind of a little bit more subdued, all right? Less of the naked zombie dancing, a little bit more, kind of more family oriented. So a lot of people enjoyed it, had a good time. Dr. Crosby, in just the last year, when we were there last time, he was responsible for stopping a tax on camp spots. They wanted to add and increase this big tax on everybody that camped. It was something stupid. It was like $8 a day or something. Boom, tax goes to the man. Different states, when you get your bill on the hotel, it has your hotel room, tax. Okay? Arizona has one tax that they list. But if you get in Maricopa County, it's another tax for rental cars for the stadiums and stuff. Okay? So this is, but you go to some states, man, it's like, you go on the second page.
Yep.
So I'm going, wow, man, it's everywhere. So Crosby was instrumental in stopping that tax. Oh, should not have done that. Every shiny badge and uniform showed up then. Oh, we're auditing your books, we're auditing your campground, you're going to tax this, employee that, EEOC, yada, 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 yada. I mean, he's telling me Monday, I think. Monday or Tuesday. Don has him booked for Monday. He wanted to get on because I had him on my show last year. He wants to get on the show this time again, tell all the new stuff that's in the last year of how much they're just trying to run everybody out of business. Because government is dying, and they need to get as much as they can from any and everybody. If you're making money, that profit is theirs. You're lucky you get to keep some. And he feels it. And he's like, man, he wants to tell the whole story. I won't just fill it all here. But of all the stuff just in the last year that he's had to deal with. And here's a retired guy, went up to the Canadian border at a freaking campground just to be left alone. And here they come. And I go, you having Porcfest here? You think that's helped you or hurt you? He's of the opinion that on the balance, it probably has helped. Because they were going to do this stuff anyway. If it wasn't for him having the notoriety and dealing with these people, they probably would have already done a lot of stuff. And they're trying to make sure he pays. And there was because they didn't get a lot of this revenue, they fired a bunch of people from different departments and did whatever, but they just hired them in another department over here, and they show up again with a new uniform. He's like, this is freaking crazy. So he'll be okay. He's got enough money. He's just chilling. But he's got employees and people that he's responsible for. So that'll be an interesting story. Then we go down to, then we went to Texas via whatever, and it's 108 degrees in Kentucky. And man, I knew when I was in Tennessee, I wake up, I get out to the, get out of the car, go in, bathroom kind of smells bad, come out, and there's 32-ounce beers and ice right by the cash register. And they got fried chicken. I'll sit there in the sneeze guard right there, and just couldn't keep it fast enough. People just buying chicken. I'm in Tennessee. Okay? Okay. Go down the road, get to Decatur, Florida. I spent the weekend with my sister and my nephew and his kids, and visited my parents for a little bit. Then we go to Austin. Austin, Texas is where Alex Jones is out of. It's the capital. They got a university there. John Bush and Catherine Bleish are there. And I do the radio and I go, here we have what? We have Neo and Trinity having a baby. They had a baby. What happens when you got freedom fighting kind of young people in their early 30s and so on, having children and looking into the future? What do? Outside of Austin, and Texas got plenty of land, by the way. So they're out there doing all different kinds of different level gardening, a bunch of chickens and stuff, and they got it going on. They're going to a new place with another couple. Tracy Ward, I believe is her last name. Tracy and her family are moving down there. They're getting a bigger 5-acre facility, and they're going to be renting this one out as kind of an activist base, and they're doing a bunch of communal farming kind of so on. So they feel that in Austin, because it's kind of a university left-leaning whatever, they're already into this communal kind of mindset. So it's an easy transition for them to, take on a libertarian perspective of government, just get out of my way. They're already pretty much that way anyway, except they want the government to give them something, Well, you need to give me the farming tools or whatever, But, so that's changed. So now we have, Austin is kind of one of those areas to where they are expressing, we want to be left alone, self-sustaining farming. Can they do the same kind of thing and a little bit more urban, close to the city thing is what they were doing in New Hampshire? We're going to find out. We're paying close attention. because they are able to produce the food. They are able to be left alone. They do have enough land. They do have enough people. But the more successful you get, that's when they start coming. Well, they have a place there called Brave New Books, right downtown near the university. And it's Texas Longhorns, right? It's their big football thing. Yeah. So they're down there, and they think they got, a pretty good beat on things, and they're having a good time. And so where Scott Horton lives, anti-war radio. So we had him on, we went and visited with him and his family and so on. So we go there, and we can see right then, when I got there, anti-war radio just fired. And the reason they did is not because they don't like him or what he does and everything. It's anti-war just can't get the funding. They're starting to trim off their extra stuff. Because they supply salaries and benefits and insurance and all kinds of stuff. They had anti-war radio is not no more. It's now Scott Horton radio on LRN. And the reason is because the anti-war movement is just going away. Nobody's giving money to, and this whole political structure, liberty, anti-war, everything is just being drained into either people doing it themselves, they don't have the money, or it's starting to go into this political Washington Rand seat for whatever thing. Okay, so we'll see what happens with that. So we'll keep track of them. Then we go, I'm going, oh yeah, we're going by Las Cruces, New Mexico. When you go to El Paso, right north of El Paso, as you go across New Mexico, going to Arizona, Las Cruces. And you go north, and it's called Truth or Consequences. Truth or Consequences is about, it reminds me a lot of Arizona. It's kind of like a combination of Apache Junction and Globe. So it's it's nice looking, red rocks. It's got lakes up there and so on. Don and I, we drive into town and immediately we got a good feel. I don't know, a lot of people might not like it, but I'm going, wow, I remember this is like Arizona 30 years ago. So New Mexico is like Arizona 30, 40 years ago. That's what it is. If you wanted to kind of make a comparison. And right, here comes the government too. But what happened was, we go to the Truth or Consequences. What we want to do is go see the spaceport, Spaceship 2. They got this big spaceport that they're building out in the middle of the desert. It's next to the White Sands missile range, so you don't have air traffic above you. It's kind of cleared airspace. They can do a lot of the launches. It's not a big deal. It's all good. So we go there, and we thought it was open. Oh, Bill Richardson, the governor, was going out of office, and they finished the runway in the hangar outside, so they want to have a big grand opening, so he gets big street cred with his picture with Richard Branson, Sir Richard Branson, and gets their picture and everything. Ain't cool. Well, it's not near done. So we go out and talk to the guard. We find you cannot find. There is no listing of the address of this place. Hour and a half for me to find out where it was. And the only way I knew where it was is I went Google Earth about where I kind of saw it was. Can't find it, get lower. Can't find it, get lower. You get down to all of a sudden, boom, then it comes up on going, you're hiding it, you sons of bitches. Okay? The reason was because it's government. They don't want anybody to know out there to go there themselves. You have to go to the Truth or Consequences and go with the private contracted down to Florida tour guide kind of thing that only does on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I'm just going, this is, you guys just going to prove my point all over. I talked to the guy that owns the Comfort Inn there. I had him on the show. We do an hour show. He's telling me about what the promises they made to everybody, how this is going to be a big, giant economic thing, blah, 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 blah. Richard Branson's going to be fine. They got a nice big hangar and a nice big runway out there. It's like Southwest Airlines leasing a terminal at Sky Harbor. He's cool. He didn't even have to pay for it. I'll give you a lease. I'm out there, and he's sitting there with a bunch of people in Las Cruces tapping their toes going, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Well, there's no incentive. They already got their pictures and their stuff and spending money, and contractor and guy were like, yeah, whatever, Government, okay? While this is going on, I find out from this guy that 160, less than 200 miles away in Texas, Jeff Bezos of Amazon has, it's called Blue Origin. They started in 2000. This is a rocket ship that looks like this. And it goes up, and it goes down. And it goes up, and it goes down. It is a Buck Rogers spaceship. Just like in the 50s, 40s, whenever that was, it just blasts off, goes up, ground, whatever, and lands. And nobody even heard about it. He's got his own Texas, it's called Van Horn, Texas, near there. They have steel buildings, got the runway, cleared, big giant sections of Texas. We bought it private with my Amazon money, okay? And we got our own spaceport. Nobody even knows about it. We're already doing it. Sucks to be y'all. We're private. Done. It's going right now. And you don't know anything about it. But I'm going one of these days, okay? So the spaceport is being done. Yes, they'll start launching here within a year or two. Yes, they'll finally get it done. Yes, it's a big boondoggle. Yes, there's 2 fraud investigations against Bill Richards for a little kickback money kind of stuff going on. Yes, they're complaining there in truth consequences. We'd rather have a dump than a spaceport, okay? There's, all this government stuff's going on. So I got a bad vibe from that, but the industry is still going, all right? So I'm not worried about that. You just don't want government involved because I can tell you. Then we go to Morenci. We're going to Morenci, the big mine. We look at the open pit mine, got a bunch of pictures, and all it is just a big mountain range that turn the mountains into canyons, and they're just going up this canyon mining. The thing is, it's been there for decades. I don't know, since the forever, 50s, 60s or something, a long time ago. And, I'm sorry?
I graduated from high school there.
When did that mine start?
Well, I think it was, let's see, that was 1940, so it'd be just before that.
So like in the 30s. So we're looking 70, 80 years. I'm surprised that mine's that small. 70, 80 years, and it's just like, you Google Earth and you see it's like this one little, it's probably the size of downtown Phoenix.
It has 1 hotel and 1 newsstand.
Well, it's probably got 2 newsstands now.
The high school.
Yeah.
It's built on 2 floors and 6 on the other one.
And a bunch of land in Safford, Pima Thatcher area, which our family still has. He was a barber on the trains when Geronimo was going around. I got some history, okay? So what happens, we go up through Morenci, through this winding road, it goes up through the, through the White Mountains up there. You get up to Alpine. There's a place called something Meadows up there. What?
Hannigan.
Hannigan Meadows. It is like green, lush grass, wild flowers. It's like looking in a Swiss Alp picture in Arizona. Found a beautiful meadow we could have, a nice big festival. I said, man, we'd go here, but instead of 2.5 hours, it'd be like 5 hours from the valley. And doing a 3-day thing, that's probably just not going to happen. So I'm like, took a bunch of pictures. They even got a bar up there. Yeah, we'll stay open late. We're going to party. I'm like, yeah, baby. So that would have been great. So we may do that in the future. What we did is we go, we stay in Show Low, then we go to where they're going to do the camping. They want to do the festival the first weekend of August. It's going to be they call it the Jackalope Freedom Festival, all right? Or Freedom Summit at the Summit. Or my favorite is Porcupine Festival. And it has a porcupine with a scorpion tail on it. I like that one. So anyway, we're going up there to do this kind of a hug out, shakedown, because it has no facilities at all. So, but we looked for 3 hours on my phone, got directions of where to be up there near Passwood Canyon Lake. And big open area, take 50 cars, have it, it's just a big giant rainbow festival kind of thing. It was, well, they allow firearm shooting, so it's going to be so states. So that was one of the criteria too. And we wanted to where Gary and Berta could get their RV in there and, no trees die. So we go ahead and get that place. Coming out, get a flat tire. All right. So we got to change that, deal with that, and we get down to the valley. This is, my entire trip came down to one thing. I want to talk about this movie, Thrive. Karen brought a copy of this. I want to tell you about this and how it dovetails into this. I went with an understanding that there's definitely more than what they're telling us. There's something wrong. Everybody knows that. The system is not, working for the rights of the individual. We all know that. The system's not even able to sustain itself. We know that. Europe is imploding, which has given us a temporary respite here in the U.S. Stock market will go up. Things are decent now because all the money's, kind of being invested in America because, oh my God, there might be in America a few weeks longer than Europe. So all this stuff is going on now. Silver and gold takes a plummet, it goes up. It goes way down, it goes up. It goes down, it's, when it gets below 30, it's time to back up the truck and buy some silver. It gets 25, back up 2 trucks. I mean, it's just, metals is where we're putting our goodies. So the thing is that I'm going, okay, there's something else going on. What is it? I can't figure it out. While we're done, we're leaving, all of a sudden, Rand Paul comes out and endorses Mitt Romney. Come to find out behind the scenes, talking to people and interviewing, he gave his dad about 30 minutes warning before he went on Sean Hannity, his nemesis, and endorsed Romney. That exploded throughout the movement like, what the hell was that? They don't equate Rand with Ron, but what happened is that Rand and the guys, and his initials are Doug Weed, okay, and they're going in trying to wrap their arms and legs around the liberty movement and call it like a thing that they control a handle on. It's always like that. Snyder's Law. Sooner or later, the organization becomes more important than the reason you created it. So they're trying to wield the liberty movement vote as if it's something they can control. You know, they got the handle on the suitcase, and they're like, look what we got, and what can we negotiate with, and all that. So it's easy to understand what's going on. So they're doing that into the future kind of thing, and Ron's just an old man that's time has come and went, and whatever. They think that we're in, but this is the exact argument I had with Ron in April of 08, and why it's a long story, meeting with the whatever. And I'm going, look, you think you're going to do what became C4L, and you're going to have all these activists out there doing what they want in the Levolution, you're going to put them in some club and you're going to tell them what to do. It's not going to work. And anytime you do something stupid in their name, they're going to freak. I'm going, this is, you've wakened people to what's really going on, and you're not going to be able to just wheel them and do what you want. Well, they thought they could. So what do? They create C4L, they get everybody to go into the Republican Party, we're going to take it over and do, and they kind of said, oh, no, you ain't. So you saw a bunch of that going on, now it's quit it inside. Tampa's going to be whatever the heck they end game they want. They're just going to try and keep it as calm as they can, and that's why Rand did this. They were so afraid of what was building up, and they had just had the Texas and California primaries. And on my show, I kept saying, you watch, they are in this at least until after California. And the big reason is because they keep winning all of these actual delegate selections. All of a sudden, no matter what they say the vote totals is all BS, Ron Paul is getting the actual delegates, and they are freaking out. So what are they doing? You have to have loyalty oaths, not to the Republican Party, loyalty oaths to Romney. Around the country, New Jersey, loyalty oath, loyalty oath. Look, I remember this. It was called Hitler. They had loyalty oaths to the individual. Heil Hitler? Heil Romney? What the hell mindset is this? You know, oh, hell yeah, they do. I saw it at the Arizona Republican convention videos and everything. It was freaking ridiculous. So I'm going, all right, so I can see where this is going. It's because they're desperate. They're freaking out, big time. So, okay. So here they have the Ron Paul Festival, the Paul Festival they're supposed to do the week before. We're working with them, and, you know, whatever, long story. They want me on the board, and all that kind of goes, no, hell no. And they go, well, after the 1st of May, or, yeah, it was 1st of June, or something like that, they go, we're going to have the contracts, the reserving of all these different venues released by the Republican National Committee, so that then we can sign the contracts to have the thing at the fairgrounds in Tampa. And I go, let me get this straight. There is a government facility that has to sign off on a piece of paper so you can have your Paul Festival. Well, guess what paper's not getting signed? Comes June 1st. They're not giving them the location. They're freaking out. They don't know where to go. They already did the dime cards that says Tampa Fairgrounds. I'm going, you want me to keep making these or not? You want to do, not do? I go, what, you guys got it together or what? I go, this is what I was talking about, okay? They have another festival that's being done like 35 miles away at some big aviation museum thing and so on, take 5,000 cars. I mean, it's a big place. So they're working on doing that. So I don't know what's going on with that. Rand endorses Romney. All of a sudden, they go, look, we can't, we're going to have to go somewhere else. We can't. No, it's all good. You know, Rand kind of did his bit. You know, we released Tampa. It's all good there. You guys go on. Got what we wanted. Okay? The idea was that Ron was going to, you know, is he going to come to this event or not? And there's a couple other events. Which one's he going to do? No, he's not going to any of them. He's going to have his own. Maybe 4. So I'm going, all right. So I lost interest in not paying attention. But this is the effect that it had. In the pictures that you see us going up to Montana, there's some pictures you see when the guy from Idaho Falls helped me with the trailer. You'll see on the side of my car the Ron Paul signs. After Rand did all that, and everybody's going, yeah, Ron Paul, peace, man, right on, Ron Paul. Ron Paul, stop at gas stations, Ron Paul. After Rand did this, people come up and they're like, what the, why? It just got too confusing. It just got to where it was just, you know, what does it mean? How, what the hell? We just took them off. It is better to take the Ron Paul signs off than to deal with the sadness in people's eyes. It had that effect. It was the effect they were going for. It's what they needed to squash what the big potential invasion of hundreds of thousands of people that were going to Tampa. And they were worried. And Rand got his 30 pieces, and he's good. Because he's not a libertarian, he's a conservative.
You're here.
And this is just, and everybody, sure as hell now we know it, but the people in the campaign for Ron Paul, who are they working with? The Republican Party and Rand. After Ron, not running for Congress anymore, and he goes over here, where's he going? What's he going to do? What's his legacy? See what I mean? So the Levolution is separate from all of that. That's its sustainability, is because they're not part of that. It was just, I go like this, I give speeches, I was in a couple of different panels in Porcfest, and my point was this, I go, look, in 2008, it was like you got darkness, and you just need to point out where the glow is on the horizon. Where's the sun coming up? Which way? I mean, I don't need this. It's just kind of, is it kind of over there? I mean, the radar, it's kind of over that way. And Scott Horton ran anti-war radio, big Ron Paul supporter, but none of this other crap. And he goes, I put a sign. I had a bumper sticker made that, so people understood. He goes, libertarian, like Ron Paul. What kind of libertarian are you? Like Ron Paul. What kind of, like Ron Paul? Libertarian, like Ron Paul. That's probably the best bumper sticker there ever was. Heck, you run for office. Libertarian, like Ron Paul. What kind of libertarian? Ron Paul libertarian? Oh, not Wayne Allen Root libertarian? Not that kind, not a bar libertarian? Oh, Ron Paul libertarian. Yeah, but he didn't have Libertarian Party, initial past his name. So freaking what? Nobody gives a crap. Libertarian, like Ron Paul. So that is what his legacy is, and Republicans are freaking out. They do not want libertarianism to continue and growingly expand and infect the Republican Party, which is why there's an initiative that's going on the ballot in Arizona this time to eliminate partisan primaries. That's going away. Why? Because the serfs are inside the gates with pitchforks and torches, and they're better off just to burn the castle than to let the serfs be in charge of it. That's what's going on. Right here, right now. So we go, okay, what's going to happen to the movement? Movement's fine. You go to Porcfest, I didn't see hardly any Ron Paul stuff. I saw more 4409 than anything else. It wasn't even discussed. It was like, yeah, we're on to next. It wasn't even, they weren't bashing them, really. There wasn't, it was just inconsequential. It didn't exist. These are the people that were the core of it 4 years ago. The core. Didn't even talk about it. Wasn't even on the radar screen. Didn't even care. Wasn't worth the conversation. Yeah, whatever. Ran in. Politics. Still voting? This is the attitude there. And that's why I wanted to go. I wanted to see what was going on. Are they going to, we're going to invade Tampa and or even be anarchists in Tampa, or just be self-sustaining, or go, no. They don't care. How far off am I? Was there a lot of Ron Paul stuff going on there or anything?
I only seen one side.
Not a smidgen. I saw more places the Libertarian Party had Gary Johnson sign anything else. Yeah. I'm telling you, the Ron Paul, Republican, Save the GOP, all that stuff, has evaporated from the people that started it. It is not there anymore. Got Adam Kokesh making his big announcement. He's going to run for president as an anarchist in 2020. Yeah. So he's got an 8-year campaign. I'm anarchist. You got to pose with guns. Anarchist for president 2020 with his beard and everything. That's smart. He's got 8 years of playing. Heck, it's going to be anarchy by then anyway. You'll see, I told you I was already president of it. You got the Olympics going on. I'm still wondering how it is that you can't have the one homeschooled kid from the middle of the nothing that can represent the A flag. I represent nobody. Can I represent myself? Oh, I'm sorry, I got to have a flag? I got to represent some government? I'm the fastest human being on the blah, 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 but I can't because I don't represent a government? That's your Olympics? That's going to change. It's a mindset. What happens when you got the swimmer that's as fast as the dolphins that was born off the reef in a floating city off of the barrier or whatever, and he's like, I'll swim, I'll kick your butt, man. Let's go out and do it. Oh, you're not allowed. Got a flag. See my point? So this whole mindset is changing. Okay, I want to end on this. all of this trip, all of these talking to people, all trying to get what I kind of suspected, I talk to a lot of people anyway on the show and do the news, that I wanted to confirm face to face. What was their interface with the government? What was their interface with America? What was their allegiance to what? Are they looking for another country? And that's another thing. A lot of people with resources, they got, footholds in a lot of other places around the world. But wherever they would go, be Argentina, Chile, wherever Uruguay starts to look better, Peru, all of a sudden, 6 months later, it's freaking non-communism. They got jack boots showing up with their badges too. There is no place. It's an entire generation. Generation Next that's fighting for humanity's survival as an autonomous individuals to keep breathing in and out and not be owned by somebody. That's what's going on. You see it in Egypt. They got to have Pharaoh number 300 and something. They say, no, we'd rather not. Oh, you may pick from, fascist candidate A or communist candidate B. Same thing. So will they start doing bitching? Here they got the Muslim Brotherhood guy. Oh, yeah. He was a professor in Southern California.
Oh, come on.
Seriously? Oh, but he's Muslim Brotherhood. He's a radical professor from Southern California. Maybe. That's their winner guy. That's it.
Suckers.
Right. Suckers. Well, they know it. They're like, nah, this is no. So this is going on all around the world. They know it's just a game. Europe is going, I tell you what happened in Europe. This is pretty much the gist of what I understand is going on. European Union going down, debt, they're done, all right? A lot of money coming over here, kind of sitting in the U.S. for a while, but sooner or later, all this money, they did the TARP, okay? Remember, Shattuck did all this TARP. We're going to have $700 billion. And I'm on Channel 12 News. NBC comes to my house. Oh, we got to get somebody against it. We can talk to her. He's against everything, okay? So I'm standing up there, and they go, what do you think? I go, $700 billion? Seriously? You think that's all that it's going to be? I go, that's this week's check. How right was I? Went to like $20 trillion.
20 trillion.
Okay? It was 19, 20-something trillions. Whole bunch of gobs of money they gave the foreign banks, foreign companies, and their buddies, central, all this kind of stuff. They just printed it up, do it, and now your kids owe it. That's my pain. It's not my debt, the little baby barcode thing, because my 3-year-old granddaughter, now will be 3 in August, she has had a debt put on her while she was still in the womb. And I'm like, how in the hell is it her debt? How did she get this additional debt? And it wasn't even this $40,000 debt. It's like, gazillion dollar debt. Never going to be paid back. We all know this. They know it. So what happens? Interest rates in Portugal and Spain and Italy start shooting up. Unsustainable. Never going to be able to pay it back. Interest rates becomes more than their debt. Blah, 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 blah. We have all our income tax here in America goes to pay just the interest. Our interest is more than the defense budget. I mean, it's just, we're done. Done. Okay? So what's the after? So here in the European Union, what was the deal? They created a thing, might as well just call it TARP. It's the same kind of thing. They're going to arrest you, do whatever. So there was restrictions on it, like the TARP. We're going to keep it to $700 billion. But then they kind of behind the scenes, they did whatever they wanted, right? The big thing, the fight in Europe, it's going to come crashing down. We got need, and Germany won't, this, that, and everything. And finally, Merkel, Germany did something, said, okay, whatever, you can print $1 billion, $1 trillion, and we'll step and we'll say whatever. Boom, stock market shoots up. Why? Because they're going to do the same thing that we did. What, you thought they were going to do something different? They're going to limit it to $100 billion or this bill? It's going to be a no limit. It's going to be hyperinflation. It's going to be a gazillion trillion dollars. They're going to own everything in the end. It's like, I keep quoting Renee. It's my favorite thing. I go there, she's making the sign that says, the Fed did it, remember? At $1, the arrow pointing down, the Fed did. I go, did what? She goes, printed money and bought gold with it. Man, it is no more complicated than that. They just printed it and bought all the goodies. Now it's ours. Now what? Foreclosures? The reason we have friends and people around here that haven't been paying their mortgages, they're 4 years going on now. 4 years haven't paid their mortgage. They're getting them now. Why? Because the Attorney General, they were doing all kinds of fraud and all kinds of stuff, criminal stuff, go to jail. Attorney Generals all of a sudden collectively went, okay, no jail time, no criminal, whatever, go rip everybody's house off, our judges will help, and you don't have to worry about going to jail. Cool. Foreclosures starting right now. You're going to see by the end of the year, they'll wait until the day after the election, but they're getting all ready and going now. Within the next year, foreclosures are going to start going like you wouldn't believe. They're going to redo it all over again. Everything went to the banks. Thank you very much for playing. Here we go. Here it comes. Now what? Now what? All this stuff. Rise.
Through the roof.
Everything's going. Inflation. Here you have the Ron Paul thing at awareness, 2008. What was my thing? I'm on the air, on the site, saying it's awareness. Where is the glow on the horizon? Which direction is the sun coming up? It's kind of over there. It's a little bit more liberty-oriented. Ron Paul, this and that kind of no government. Okay? Less, none, local, something. So what is it? It's going to be a sovereignty thing. It's going to be a state-by-state thing. It's going to be we can't afford it thing. Screw you, keep it, whatever, we're not playing thing. They're not going to be able to give you enough money. They're going to give hundreds of billions of dollars to states. California is going down. They're going to do whatever. It's going to be more and more and more and more. Inflation is going to shoot through the roof. Certain people are going to benefit. Most people are going to starve. Exactly what happened in Arabia. Why did you have this Arab Spring? Because they were hungry. They couldn't afford the food. They live on a few dollars a day and food went up 120% in a year. That's why. You think that's not going to happen here? So, what do? Food stamps? You have 47 million people on food stamps now. Out of 300 million. How the hell is that even possible? It's not. So then I started to realize, whenever you got to go anywhere, what do they want? Oh, your ID, you need to, make sure you bring a what? Utility bill. How's a utility bill ID? It's not ID. It is your IV into the man. The utility bill shows you're on the grid. So what was one of the stories while we were gone on this trip? A guy is a clerk at a store. A guy comes up. He puts up a pack of cigarettes. He goes, here's my pack of cigarettes. Here's my welfare card. ATM debit card. Welfare. Done by who? Who is it?
JP Morgan.
JP Morgan? Or Citibank, one of them. JP Morgan. Is JP Morgan Citibank?
The government. They may own.
Them, okay? One of the banks, they are now in charge of and get the money from and make a whole bunch. And this is where Ross Perot made his money back in the 80s and early 90s, was setting up their system for Social Security service. All the coding software and Social Security and all that's where he got his money, was interfacing with the government. Well, now they got all this. They got the welfare rolls, they got your Social Security number, they got your utility bill, whatever. They got you on the grid, and they have created, they want you to have this welfare card. It'll be for food stamps, it'll be for welfare, it'll just be cash, it's money, it's free money to whoever qualifies and fills out the paperwork, and you get your government card with the whatever. Probably can't buy silver with it, but you got this card, okay? He goes up and he says, I want to buy a pack of cigarettes. The clerk says no. And he goes, I am not paying, or other customers in line, we're not paying for your cigarettes. You think we should pay for your cigarettes? He goes, yeah, I did. The clerk got reprimanded for not taking the card.
He did.
I don't know if he got fired or not, but
She got reprimanded, but she quit. She basically said, screw you.
yeah, this is, so think about this. This is mindset. And you always wonder, and you go, what are they thinking? How does that even serve anybody? It doesn't serve the person that's on the welfare. It makes them dependent. That sure as heck doesn't serve us. How does it serve the government? I didn't understand it. Can't get it. Then all of a sudden everything started flashing in crystal clarity. That's what happened in Thrive. We'll talk about this before we leave. I understood what was going on. If you're the big bad guys at the top, and you control, as you have forever and ever and always, energy, food, finance, but mostly energy and finance, okay? Which plays into food and water production costs and all. And water, you go to Colorado, if the rain falls on Colorado, it belongs to the state of Colorado, you can't capture it.
That's right.
I'm like, what?
Yeah, they've been trying to do that for a
No, it's in the kind of part of the deal. It's a watershed. It goes into them, kind of sucks to be you. It's ours. God didn't give you it. You're just a steward of making sure you don't pollute it as it flows into ours. I'm like, okay, that's the mindset. So I'm going, all right, so we're just livestock. All right, fine. But how does a welfare card feed into that? I figured it out. Well, to my ability. Here you have Rockefeller and Standard Oil and the energy and BP and whatever energy, okay, over here. You have banking and finance represented by, you know, the banks, de la whatever, and the Federal Reserve System, the ECB, International Monetary, kind of whatever money we get a cut of. Because it's going to be hyperinflation, but the guys that get to use it first get the most benefit. They buy the goodies. Everybody forecloses on everything. It all belongs to them. They sell it back to the livestock. And you're indebted as slaves for the rest of your freaking life. And all the people live in Europe, and guess what? Your kids have multiple you owe me. All right? That's what we're debt slaves. Until there's an actual armed revolution and they don't have enough microwave, you know, pain filter area denial, fluoridated, whatever, make a stupid vaccine water something to keep you in line, sooner or later the people rise up, and then you go in, and then you're a rise up people, and you got guys with guns in charge again. I mean, you know, it's just, we got to break the cycle, all right? So I'm going, what is it? Energy, finance, oil, banking, money, oil, I mean, whatever. You know, I can see what was happening. It's the reason why they want the welfare card is because they want everybody to have a minimum standard of living. Why? Because they need you to have a utility bill. If you don't have enough money, even if you're just breathing in and out, everybody should support the fact that you got air conditioning and a microwave. If you don't have air conditioning and a microwave, you are not contributing to the powers that have the power. That have the power. The powers that have the power that have the power. That's good, I like it. Okay, I just made up a new one. The powers that have the power that have the power. All right? I like that a lot.
Write it down.
Copyright or the So anyway, so what happens is I can see what's going on. If they can take from all of you to make sure that at least everybody out here, no matter how indigent, poor, transient, whatever, if they can make sure they have a utility bill, then they get a cut from every breathing human being. With electricity, with power, with gasoline, taxes, spending money, whatever. It's not that they're worried about them getting it or whatever. They're getting their cut. They're just getting it from you and making sure you're not accumulating enough to threaten them. So I can see what it's a redistribution of wealth so that they can keep all of us poor, keep us down, and keep as much maximum use of the electrical grid as possible of energy. So I'm going, all right, I get it. All this comes together. I can see what could you do to really screw the man? If you really were a freedom activist and you wanted to increase our independence, self-sustainability, increase our ability to sustain ourselves, maintain a high standard of living, because I know in the future, and I tell you one thing, the future's got, it's got electricity for Ernie. That's one thing. Okay, Ernie be wanting to watch his big screen TV. That's just what it is. Okay, so I'm just like, I don't want to take a diminished lifestyle. So on my show, I've been really pushing on the new, technologies and so on, and what's coming with different batteries and so on. Just while I was on this trip, they came out with a nickel-iron battery. It's called Edison battery, which has been 100 years old. They marry it with some insulating graphene nanotube kind of whatever, and the density just shot up 10 times or whatever. It charges in seconds, discharges in seconds. You got drag racers with electric kick the crap out of internal combustion. Here we go. Tesla cars now have all electric cars, just sold a sports car. It's online now. Here we go, here it comes. But you don't hear about this stuff. Just like you don't hear about the space race stuff. Did you know that Coors, as in Coors beer, has a Coors Tech? You know what Coors, what the heck it was? It's their high-tech thing for making batteries. They've been doing this, got it ready to go, and then all of a sudden, then you go to the website, you look at it, it's 3 years ago. It's a big, giant thing. It's all over the net. I've been doing research over the last couple of weeks. I've been in the car. And then Coors was a big thing, Coors. Then all of a sudden, their webpage goes, award for this science project of the high school, love the children, public education kind of crap. And all that just went away. What the hell just happened?
Which electric company is good for solar? Have you got a preferred company to buy these things from?
Yeah, God. The sun.
No. I've been buying some Goal Zero company stuff that Lowe's is shutting out, but I want something bigger, to drive the big TV.
So what are you talking? You're talking about a panel?
Solar.
The actual solar panels?
Solar. Is there one company better
No.
than another?
Which is good, because there is no one company. There's a bunch of them. And A lot of them's come out of China. This is what happened. China has a bunch of, it started to get towards about, you get it installed for about $8 a watt. A kilowatt is how much power that, whatever, it's a measurement, and Bob tried to explain it to me, but you have like $8, then installed, then it went down to about $4. Now you're down to where you're under $1 a watt. You can purchase the panels if you get little blemishes on them. Right now you get them for under $2 a watt, and full kits installed and put on what Gary and Berta has. Gary and Berta live in Sun City West, they don't have an electric bill. So I'm going, this is ready now. It's the battery. It's the storage of overnight. That's where the technology advance needs to be. It's not the panels anymore. It's the battery. So what happens? China starts dumping them in here. They're cheap, cheap, cheap. U.S. government, they're so green, they just charge 30-40% tariff on them. Because we love you. See what I mean? Then you have this big thing, clean coal. We got enough coal to last us for hundreds of years. We're fine, coal's due coal. So what they do, they go, now they give it to the EPA to limit how much coal. It's Obama thing. Remember, he came out, I'm going to kill coal. Why? Because there's a bunch of energy there. So he doesn't want to have... You can do it after. Whatever it is, I guarantee you can do it after. So what happens is, now they got this vote back and forth and so on. They want to control coal because it's all about what? Control of the energy. There's too much coal in too many states. The entire Western Canada's got enough coal tar sands. It's all about the energy. So I'm going, all right, so what do we need to do? What if you can produce your own energy, grow your own food, and just pull that amount of resources, mom out of work and stay home and come out ahead, have a healthier diet, healthier living, more efficient, blah, 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 got a place to live, build your own dog, everything, you're done. And the man just gets sucked dry. That's 2013 for the Hancock family. 08, there's where the Liberty direction is over there. 12 was the use of silver and barter, why we focused on silver and everything, get the idea of money and economy. And 13, we're going off grid. Don and I, we've been looking and looking and looking. We finally, we wanted to make sure that Arizona was going to be it. Or where we wanted to stay in Arizona. We're going to do Arizona. We're going to find a right place out away from the city a little bit, not too far away for grandbabies. And we're going to have enough acreage. We're going to start building buildings and facilities and everybody, and learn and teach and everybody doing everything to get off the grid. That is going to be the Hancock activism stage next. How much can I screw the man? I quit feeding him.
Right, amen.
Thrive. Guy named Foster Gamble. Foster Gamble of Procter & Gamble family. Did you guys watch your copy yet? What'd you think of that?
I thought it was very well done.
Karen and Dennis watched it, impressed with this. I saw it at the beginning of the year. All of a sudden, it was a pirate version of it. It's a nice Blu-ray, DVD, Uber. Very nice production and so on. It comes out, and I see it in this little pirated thing on some internet feed that somebody took it and watched it and kept watching it. Put my feet up on my desk, computer watching it. About 2 hours later, I watched it. And I go, this is good. Now it kind of starts off with, alien technology and UFO in the future and kind of whatever. But the point that he was making, he's going throughout history and different cultures all over the world, they have 2D representations of what they call the torus. This energy field that goes around. You have a magnet, it has the north and south pole, the iron filings, everything has a field. Earth has a field, everything has a field. Galaxies have a field. This is what Tesla was going on about, tapping into it, sending wirelessly electricity across the Atlantic. You go do a Nikola Tesla Wikipedia thing. He was funded, Westinghouse, I think it was Westinghouse, came in. When he died, they bulldozed his lab and everything. Why? What the hell was going on? J.P. Morgan was one of his funders, I think it was, right? He goes in because he had a corner on all the copper for the electric wires. Edison was doing wires, and they were originally DC. He's the one that invented, Tesla's the one that invented, video, radio. He was, wireless transmission of electricity. You see there's a big bulb in a tower and so on. You may have seen that in science books and so on. They tried to strip the history of Tesla. Nikola Tesla was freaking one of those genius guys that had the memory. He did all the paperwork in his head. He just, okay, there, boom, done, build it, okay? He's one of those guys. I've met people like that. They exist. That's why we have a site called Defending Archimedes. Archimedes that did calculus in his head in, 500, 2000 BC. I mean, you know, a guy who figures out pi in his head. One of those guys. Defending Archimedes, defending the youth, these genius kids, and how do they keep them from being geniuses? Come here and get your mercury-laden vaccine, man. We'll drop you down a couple of notches.
Which is the school system.
Yeah. And then if that doesn't work, we'll get 18 years. So then I'm going, and then if that doesn't work, we still got some fluoride, so it's all good. Anything out of the Mylar bag, you're screwed up for the rest of your life, all right? So that's another thing. Everywhere I went around the country, everybody's on this paleo caveman diet, okay? It's like raw vegetables and meats, and man, they're dropping. Nick dropped what, 70 pounds. Boom. Everybody I've seen on this thing. Peter, he says he's 50 pounds lighter since last time I saw him.
What diet are we talking about?
Caveman diet. It's just protein, you eat meats and vegetables. Stay away from, I am now, you stay away from carbohydrates. You saw me, just eggs and bacon. I got a pile of bacon. God, really? Yeah, I'm on a diet. Okay. Yeah, whatever. Get over it. So, yeah, when yours work, let me know. So the thing is that all these people are on this, man, they're just doing great. So I'm going, all right. So at Porcfest, they had, the caveman baklava, whatever the heck it was. And it was, hero meat piled with more meat and a bunch of meat and some other stuff and meat. And there's just like a big pile of people eating, they're on a diet. What the hell is that? He's on a diet. Okay. So this is where, people are starting to embrace, really not what they're saying. Because they got their little food pyramid, all the grains. Well, of course, your cattle, livestock eat the grains, it's cheap. You get a lot of calories, but you get no real nutrition. You have all this, and it's just, I'm so tired of being lied to all the time. What's Freedom Phoenix slogan? Uncovering the secrets, exposing the lies. All right? We could have fun with that. I could go up there and run for, get my 130 whatever write-in signatures for this primary, and I'd be on the ballot against him in the general. And they were on my ass. I'm like, I just can't. I'm not saying, I say no. I'm not saying hell no yet. Let me think about it for a day or two. But so I do a couple of radios, I talk about it, and I go, nah, that's a hell no. Okay? But Scott Decker, a good friend of mine, that is a quality individual, that knows a good libertarian, has agreed to do it. He's going to announce July 13th at the party at my home. So we are going to have a good libertarian candidate against Flake in the general election. Good. And I'm just going, and what are you going to say about Flake? Patriot Act. I mean, what else is there? They go, but Flake, Patriot Act. How many times I say, well, he's not as bad, he's better than the Patriot Act. I don't care, Patriot Act. So I'm just, get over it. So we're going to have a libertarian top of the ticket, state, U.S. Senate, and for president. So we're going to have some fun in the 6 weeks that we do this. The Thrive, Foster Gamble, let me go ahead and finish. I'll take 5-10 minutes. You guys go. I haven't been gone a while, you gotta get over it. This is Foster Gamble in the 70s, born into the Gamble family, rich, finds out at, I don't know, early 20s or whatever, he's going to college, went to Yale or something, and he finds out that his grandfather's leaving him a bunch of money, he's got enough, he can sit on his ass for the rest of his life, let's go ahead and do something. All right. So he goes, I'm going to go find truth. Let's go find some truth. So he kind of had this desire to just know the truth since a young man. He goes around, and what does he do? It's called Thrive Movement. Thrive Movement. Google Thrive Movement, and you'll get it.
It's a YouTube. You can watch
it on
YouTube.
Thrive Movement, all over. It's done.
2.5 hours.
So what happens is he's looking around, and he starts, I think it was Yale or one of the big universities, he gets a movie-producing film school that he wanted to have a place that whatever he discovered, he was going to make a movie out of it decades ago. So he creates this for the sole purpose of someday having the contacts and the ability to make this movie. And he's like, he goes around, he's going around third world countries, and why are people with such technology and the ability to feed the poor and do all that, why are they starving? Why are people, how come we're not doing it better? Why are we, all our resources going to the government? We have an enormous increase in productivity and capacity with cell phones and computers, and where is our increase in lifestyle and leisure time, and where'd it go? What happened? I want to know the truth. Energy, food, what? Then he makes the movie. And this was the trigger. I interviewed him, and we were trying to get him for a long time. We knew for months that both of us knew we were going to do it. We just got to get our schedules together. And I did an interview out of kind of a Lou Rockwell type site in Europe called the Daily Bell. And they do long interviews, long form internet interviews. And I did one and he did one. So he got to know who I was, from that. So we kind of had a relationship. We talked to him before, yes, we'll do the show. We finally got to do it right before the Friday before we went on our trip. So it's like June 1st or something. You go to the archive and you listen to that. And I go, what finally got you? It's a good movie. I mean, you finally, you hit the nail on the head, in my opinion, got into Austrian economics at the end, and it's all about the money and so on. How did this happen? Who did it? What was going on? He goes, my son. His son, big Ron Paul guy. His son, Austrian economics. His son explained to him it's about the money. So you're worried about the energy stuff and everything over here because it's about, 0-point energy and having enough energy and this porous field that's been represented throughout history of whatever and on the cave walls and, and whatever, and alien, whatever, doesn't matter, energy, okay? He goes, you're so focused on this, you don't understand why it's being suppressed. You don't understand who's in power. You don't understand why it's not, here to serve us. You don't understand that why NASA has a space telescope that they're doing Hubble, doing all this stuff, blah, blah, blah for decades. Can we peer out and change the mirror and satellite, the space shuttle goes up and fixes it and everything. And you find out just a few weeks ago, last month, the Pentagon gave us 2 of their old, we've had them for decades, satellites we don't need anymore, telescopes that are 100 times more powerful than the Hubble they've had for a long time. Here, you can just have these 2, we don't need them anymore. Who the hell paid for those? And why am I doing this, cheap knockoff over here, doing science and everything, they're probably just spending more of my money, when DARPA already had the technology for way more, better, and who paid for them? Where's this mentality? Who's in charge? Nobody finds out about this. Nobody knows that they did this. And they're supposed to be heroes. Be grateful we gave it to you now. Yay. This is the mentality. We're just livestock. So this was all about him finding, and guys, I talked to him on and off air. He goes, I went to 6 people that had this energy, they're developing and doing this, and it all had to do with blah, 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 dead. Dead.
Say that
You're dead, man. Get over it, dead. So I'm going, this is amazing. But now we have the ability to store the power. We can do it with the solar. We can do it just in low-tech now. This is low-tech. I say we're going to do it low-tech. Screw it. We'll make this later, do it'll come out, whatever. Pull the energy from the man, they get their cut and the food, and you are now in charge because they have nothing over you anymore. And they're going to ask you, when you come to get your permit, de la license something, make sure you bring a utility bill, and you go, I don't have a utility bill. It's like Idiocracy, the movie. He doesn't have a barcode, oh my God! See my point? As I did all of this and been doing everything my entire life going to this to try and understand what Foster Gamble did in this movie is the same thing. It's about power and control. It's not even really about the money. That's just a means to the power and control. It's about controlling you as livestock, not to be a threat to their dominance over everything. Everything. Eric and Sandy, a guy looked kind of like John Denver, Cartridge Family Band guy, comes around sometimes. You guys see him. He's all into it, man. He's been accumulating silver. He's where I learned about the silver dimes from. He's got a place 800 acres in New Mexico. The guy's, he's kind of whatever, but he runs a business making commercials for big, like you see the Frito-Lay Fiesta Bowl commercials and everything. He's the guy that does all the site selection for that and gets the pictures and does Nike, and he's out going, so he knows Arizona really well. That's what his East-West Productions, that's what he does. Because his wife's from the Far East, he's from the West, man, see? He's Chinese. So he's like, doing all this, and all of a sudden, a few years ago, Sandy gets all on board. She's like, yeah, we got it, whatever. I mean, a lot of our wives are so already in on it, man. They're right. But she was kind of, yeah, whatever, All of a sudden, she's all in. I'm like, what the heck just happened? It's because of some tax thing that they did. She goes, I realized one thing. I realized that enough was never enough for these guys. There was never going to be enough. There was no such thing as enough. Once she had that realization, her mindset clicked in a totally different mindset. We need to come to that same realization. It is never enough. I encourage you to go to Thrive Movement. Thrive Movement, you Google that, thrivemovement.com or whatever, and it's now for free. And I was on this case, I go, I'm pirating your book, sue me. I'm pirating this DVD, I'm doing all over, what are you going to do about it?
Can I spell it?
Thrive, T-H-R-I-V-E. So the Thrive, he's like, why are we not thriving? We should be thriving. Why are we not thriving? We have the technology to thrive. We have the information to thrive. Why are we not thriving? As a species, why are we not thriving?
Because we're dumbed down.
We're dumbed down. And he's saying, It's the power and the money. And he goes, when my son explained Austrian economics to me, it finally all made sense. It all came full circle. He couldn't make the movie fast enough, him and his wife. That's what it was. It was the economics of it.
In Cottonwood about a month ago, we had the Extension Service did a class on how to collect rainwater. And they're doing another one this Thursday that I'm going to go to. So I put it up on YouTube. But there's no law against it in Arizona.
Which is legal
so
in
you can
Arizona.
collect all your rainwater. If you collect it off your roof, you can actually collect enough water for the whole year. So they're
Which they do in Tucson.
right.
You know, there's a guy there that did his whole year, he just gets off his, and all he did, he had like air conditioner filters and stuff. As it went off, he just kind of got the, the
Right.
bugs out. Went in, he just used that water, so it was better than anything else.
That's right.
So I'm going, okay, and then you find out Colorado you can't.
I have a water tester, and the water tester out of my faucet, before it goes through the water softener, comes out about 500 parts per million. I tested the water out of my air conditioning system, 95.
Just the condensing that drifts
Yes,
off.
sir. Yes, sir.
Ernie, your reference to us being cattle controlled by the government reminds me of Patrick Henry's Liberty or Death speech, in the respect that Patrick Henry was exciting the Virginia delegates about the issue of being slaves to Britain, when in fact he and so many other Virginia delegates themselves were slave holders. My question is there any provision in your movement of freedom for freedom from torture on the part of the animals that we all consume?
What?
Your reference to freedom from the government, okay, reminiscent of Thomas or Patrick Henry saying that we are about to be shackled by Britain, give me liberty, give me death. There was this tremendous hypocrisy on the part of Patrick Henry.
So who's going to protect me from the bad guys that will rule me? Is that what you're saying?
Who's going to protect us from the bad guys, but we're the bad guys treating our slaves like hell?
I hear this a lot from, the thing is, it always comes down to this. There are always bad guys. Why do I want to give them any kind of a shiny badge that I'm paying for them to be bigger bad guys? The bad guys always get in control of the government. Every single time. Amen.
Pat, are you saying we should be vegetarian?
Yeah.
Are you saying we should be vegetarian?
Eventually, yes. Yes.
What about vegetables and plants?
That's what I heard.
You're talking about actual livestock, animals?
I'm talking about sentient beings. I'm talking about people that have, the animals that have nervous systems like people.
So we're being slaves.
Plants.
Well, on your farm, you can do what you want with it. They sleep in
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
In your world, on your land, on your farm, in your community, you can do whatever you want with your animals. You can marry them for all I care.
So does that mean that people should have the freedom to possibly maybe traffic in children? If it's okay to traffic in animals, should people have the freedom to traffic in women or children?
I vote not. Now what?
I'm sorry?
I say no. Now what?
Humans and
You're going to create a government to enforce that?
If we didn't have laws that told people that they can't sell...
No, you just right there. Tell people, man. Stop. You're killing me.
I know it's something that you don't want to deal with, Ernie, and most of the people here don't, but that's okay.
Okay, we know where you stand, Pat.
Hi, let's have drawing for some books here. Back in the corner table, back there, some books. First choice, 3008. Back there in the corner. Yeah, go on back and pick your book. On the table there. There you go. Second choice, 3011. 3011. Okay, last choice, third and last, 3024. 3024. Gentleman down here in the middle.
I got
No, the question down here in the corner.
just to let Ernie know, we got a French flag in the middle of the cafeteria.
Yeah.
French flag, yeah.
Anybody got any announcements they need to make before we leave?
Thank you.
If not, see you a month from now, first Saturday in August. Boy, is this year about over already.
They will take that very